Get a few of them. Here we go.
All right, I'll call this work session for the Toledo City Council to order. Our first item is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One nation.
Next is roll call. Is Councilor Kaufman with us tonight? Councilor Burns,
Yes.
Councilor Sylvia,
Yes.
Councilor Mix,
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
Sorry.
I made it in time. I'm excited.
Councilor Strong.
Yes.
I am here. We have 6. We have enough to do business. Our first item is a joint session with the Port of Toledo Commissioners. Welcome to
Very well attended.
all the commissioners that are here.
I think Commissioner Graff is on his way down.
Rick better be here. I know where Rick lives.
I tried calling him and I didn't yell. He was locking the door, so hopefully he's headed this way.
Oh, good. So Debbie, have you met all of our council currently?
I haven't.
Okay, council, would you go around this way and introduce yourself to Debbie Scacco? She's the current port manager.
Frank Sylvia, one of the newest counselors.
Burns. Hello.
Steve Strong, former.
Yeah, you don't know him.
Oh, Tracy, thanks.
There were snacks. Yeah, you've met me before. I was at a couple meetings. Kim Bush, council president.
And former port manager.
And Port Commissioner Lorna Davis.
And a member of Travel Oregon still?
Yes, I am a global sales manager, Travel Oregon.
Oh, darn.
Yeah.
Global, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
It just is all over them.
I know. So how big is your suitcase?
Which one?
The one I can fit in.
Would depend on which one it was exactly.
So one of the things that I know we want to talk about is the sewer project and how that's coming along.
It is coming along. We have 2 sources of funding for it. So we were, before Lorna left, we were granted ARPA funds through the state. So we have that contract in hand. And then we also were awarded congressional direct spending through EPA is managing that money. That came with strings. So even though it's written in a House bill that's been approved, we still have to go to EPA and get the grant application passed through, and the EPA has to apply all of their grant standards and tests and requirements to it. So we're in the process of getting those funds secured. In the meantime, I have the engineers working on the bid documents. Bid documents will probably go back to EPA for review this week, and hopefully we'll get it out on the street to see if we have enough money. The biggest thing is inflation. We started with a construction estimate in 2020. So the inflation is how bad is the inflation? We think we have contingencies built in, but we're not quite sure if we have enough. So the test is getting it out to bid and making sure we have enough money.
So is the money out of the House bill, was that lottery funds or was that a separate pot of funds?
That was ARPA funds. So it was from the COVID funds that they
Okay.
put forward, and then they said that after they finally decided where that was gonna come from, then they housed it with Business Oregon to administer.
Okay. And the EPA pass-through funds, where are they routing through?
They were a
House award for state and tribal funding.
Yeah, water, clean water.
If you don't mind me asking, what office are you guys working through to get through all the EPA jungle?
It's the Region 10, R10 contacts. Basically, all of the grants that were awarded in that congressional directed spending, they set up a whole group just to process us.
Okay. I'm just curious because I know that Senator Merkley has really reached out to us and other municipalities about helping to get through that jungle back there. Maybe if you give his office a call, they've got some really good people there and they might be able to help you out with pushing this down the road a little bit quicker.
I mean, it was just, it's a little bit of a lack of capacity on the port side, so get our project manager on board and get the grant submitted. And once we get it submitted, they're really responsive and, you know, this is what we need to have done differently. So they kick it back and make us fix a bunch of things.
Right.
We're on our second round, so. The next test is if we have to do any kind of environmental analysis or the cultural resources. Since we are on, the whole project is on previously developed land, we don't think that should be an issue.
Right.
So that's our feeling.
Eileens.
We're not, it's, no,
So you're still going down the Bay, North Bay Road?
between Toledo Ace
Yeah.
and our shop, it's in the county right away. Under the bridge, in the county right away, under the road, under the railroad tracks, and then down the length of our yard. So there is, our engineer, Civil West, has advised that we should have an intergovernmental agreement with the city. We did pass a resolution that will maintain, you know, the port has made a commitment that will maintain the line as a private line. So basically, if we ever decide to sell, because it's tying two pieces of property into it, if one sewer line ties two pieces of property together, if we ever decide to sell one of those properties, we'll make sure that the sewer line still stays private. Either we'll maintain it and have an easement to the new property owner, and or the new property owner maintains it and knows what they're doing. So we'll take on the commitment that it has to stay private for the life of it. So we'll have to document that in an intergovernmental agreement, and then I don't know what else, but that'll be coming your way.
That's fine, because I think only two, maybe three of us on the council here tonight were around in 2020 when all this got started. So this is good history for everybody to know what's going on, how it's hooking up and all of that. You know, tell us about all the great, I mean, I'll be honest, my feed seems to show up something about the port almost twice a day without fail. So tell us about all the great stuff's going on down there.
So something that we probably we're kind of working pretty closely with Lisa on, you know, are the events down at the park that are going to go on this summer. So we have one coming in this weekend, the Renaissance Fair. So you should be seeing that notice. We're actually closing down Waterfront, the path, because the Renaissance Fair charges admission. So they fence off an area and they actually close down the path. They rented the park for the whole weekend. So hopefully they'll bring in some visitors to Toledo. And then we have two separate van groups coming in this year.
Oh,
And
two different.
van groups.
So Van Life and somebody else?
Yes, there's a smaller group. They're planning on having some reggae bands playing.
Is that the Holy Toledo?
There's the Holy Toledo's the bigger group.
Okay.
And there'll be a second group. And then there'll be the Wood and Boat Show in August, so we're ramping up for that.
I want to ask a question and I'm scared to ask it in a public. I don't want to get in trouble.
Well, you want to tell me what it is and I'll ask? I love you
You guys wanted to move your boathouses and after the dredging you did you do that? And I'm not trying to get you guys. in
The
trouble.
original plan was to move a boathouse and still have it sticking out into the waterway, and we need another piling.
Oh.
We abandoned that plan.
Okay.
So our plan B was to move it how we have it now. We
I would
didn't have to put in
you
new
were
piling.
able to do, I was like, did you have to go through all the hoops? And the
We-
money and everything?
No,
Okay,
sort of. So we don't have an ADA gangway.
okay,
So the whole project takes the, where the boathouse was located previously, it tied the two docks together. So we could use the access, the ADA access on the transient dock to get to the boathouse.
okay,
When we move the boathouse down by the other gangway, we don't have that bridge between the two sets of docks, which
Okay.
is why we were, the bridge, it being a bridge was why we were out of compliance with our other grant. So that was, that, we
okay,
had to not do that anymore. But we lost our ADA gangway.
okay.
So if we were to get grant funds and decide to put in an ADA gangway, we would have to go that permitting rigmarole again and do the no rise
I figured
certificate.
you guys figured out a way around it. And I was gleeful that you were able, because you were losing
We
sleep
just
over
moved
it.
the
I know.
boathouse and we
Yeah.
don't have an ADA gangway to the program. So, yeah.
Well, I applaud your efforts
Mhm.
down there, because Thursday and Sunday, I was down there on a Sunday and there was a ton of people out on those little boats.
My niece and I were two of them.
Oh.
Yeah, I went down there and did
They
it.
went one splashing with you.
Probably. Probably.
So that program is all ran by volunteers.
Amazing.
They go down to the boathouse. We sponsor them. They go down and manage the boats, maintain the boats, fix up the boathouses, maintain the boathouses, and then run the program, lots of volunteers. So that's a great program.
So I'm gonna reiterate what we told you when you first came to us about that whole 88 boat ramp and all that. We will do anything we can to help you. And we meant it then, and we mean it now. That is the most, I'm sorry, that is the most stupid thing I've ever heard. Take out 3 pilings, put in 2, but you need us to do a study? Yeah,
We did have to do the analysis and no rise certificate and maintenance dredging that happened last.
Huh?
So that is ridiculous. It's the way the FEMA law is. It's just the way the law is. There's no way around it.
Makes you do that, not to that.
It's the way the city building code has adopted the FEMA model rules.
if we don't adopt the FEMA model rules, then our
Insurance.
constituents can't get insurance.
Or you can develop your own rules, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
To,
There were a lot of fiery hoops to jump through to get everything into place, and the place of least resistance and most efficiency was just to do it as it.
On those floodway rules, you're gonna, well, you might not because you guys deal with ports. But I was in Eastern Oregon all last week. And one of the things I heard, not just from the folks up on the Columbia, but in other places in Eastern Oregon, is the whole theme of floodway rulings. We're all like, what? They don't make any sense. I have a feeling that,
they're updating the rules. They'll be giving you a new set of model rules that you can adopt, or you can
Uh-huh.
develop your own and try and I mean, they still have to be held to the same standards of what they're trying to complete, but, yeah.
and as one of the mayors pointed out to me, why are we paying for their mistakes in southeastern part of the country? And I'll just leave that there.
Good question.
Anyway, so as I understand it, you have how many boats coming in for the Wooden Boat Show this year?
We don't know. We got probably about 30 signed up so far.
See, the last I heard was like 25, and I was thinking to myself, holy smokes, we're gonna have a convoy coming up.
So we're hosting the Northwest Steam Society. We had them here back in 2018. It was a very popular wooden boat show. a lot of chaos. There was a steam tractor tootling around, and then the Model A Club came in and
Oh,
they
wow.
were like driving right through the middle of everything too. So we expect them all again this year.
Total chaos.
It's gonna be great. So there's about 12 boats signed up, so they're all coming down from Washington. So they like it here, they like visiting us. So we're very happy to host them.
Good.
The Railroad Society is Railroad Museum, all of their initials. They're helping host them, so they'll have their own little tent set up over there by the kiddie train play area, so they'll have a little fort area, and then the show will be.
We're gonna be doing a steamboat parade,
Yeah, that's,
the tune off on there.
yeah, I heard. Do you guys have anything that you want the city to help you with, or, you know, put our heads together and see if we can figure out, or?
We just need to get that sewer project going. Obstacle as we go through the sewer project. And we worked with Brian and the city manager, and we've gone down and done tours. So that's our biggest next hurdle. There is a little, and I haven't talked to Brian about this one. There's some repairs that need to be done down there at the park where the city outfall was
I was gonna
exciting.
ask about that, because it looked like it hadn't been repaired yet when I was voting, and I was like, we talked about that a year
The pipe's
ago.
been extended, so it's no
Oh,
longer
okay, so
undercutting,
it's not a,
but
okay.
it needs riprap, which probably needs a no ride certificate.
Oh.
Well, what if somebody just kind of drops a rock here and there?
That's what I'm thinking. Just one by one, we just kind of,
I don't know what happened.
they just showed up one day.
Shawshank Redemption style.
Yeah, we all go walking with our wheel.
And for whatever reason, there's a person with a van that parks right in front of the pothole, so you have to go through the pothole.
Oh, the pothole's bad,
Yeah, yeah.
I will mention that. I think I drove through it yesterday and I thought
I
about
did
it.
this weekend when I went.
We're very happy to be painting the restrooms, so they'll be nice and fresh for all these summer events.
So that was the scissors.
Yeah, the night before and plant a tree in the pothole or something, you know, so it's.
But it's right in the middle of the road.
It is. And people park right in front of it, so you have to hit the pothole.
A couple years ago, somebody went and planted a bunch of marijuana plants in the potholes in some Portland neighborhood. It really did expedite public works though, getting in there, getting it fixed, so.
I had knowledge of years ago until like some individuals that may or may not have been with painting bullseyes around the pothole.
Oh my gosh, that's
They got
funny.
repaired pretty quickly.
That's what they do in California.
So they can aim for them or.
Not sure if it's for aiming purposes or for, make sure you miss this purpose. Council, did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask while we have them here?
I gave you this little information sheet, shows you, I kind of went over this when you did the, when I challenged the planning decision before, just, you know, the amount of business that we're bringing into Toledo, gives you an idea how many buildings we have, our tenants that we lease to. There's eight tenants that we lease to. We have the marina, 20 slips at the marina. The transient dock invites visitors to come up, we boat up here, stay the night, stay the weekend. Our other marina facilities are the airport launch ramp. We have the paddle park. We have handicap kayak launches at down here at the marina, at the launch ramp, and at the paddle park. You might not know how much green or open space that we own. We have 27 acres just out Bay Road past the paddle park. We have 2.5 acres out across the street from Dairy Queen, right there on Highway 20.
Oh, you guys have that?
A little triangle.
Yeah.
And then there's about 23 acres just of open space between the boatyard and our industrial park area. That's back there.
Do you have plans for that across from Dairy Queen? And, or is it?
It's wetlands.
Just wetlands?
Yep.
It was gonna be a kayak launch, but to get everything going, it was gonna
Too
be,
hard.
yeah.
So how's employment been, with the welding labs here and whatnot? Has that been able to help keep people moving in and doing the jobs? Or are you still having to, for lack of a better, bring people in from around the country?
Right now, our employment, it's just kind of status quo. The fishing industry is starting to have some challenges. So we have to be careful and keep our staff sized appropriately to the amount of work coming in.
Right.
So we won't be able to bring on any more crew. If we bring in someone from the welding lab, they have to start out as an apprentice or intern for a while to get those skills and the actual practical experience so they can be billable. Which is where we need to have our employees at to have them on board at full salary. So we've been working with the community college and WorkSource Oregon, and they're starting to implement an apprentice program.
Good.
We'll be working with them on that. We didn't have any high school interns this last semester of school. So hopefully in the fall, there was some changeover in personnel at the high school. So hopefully we'll get that organized and keep going with that. That was a really good program.
Is Lamoni not around?
He's retiring after next year.
Yeah. And they're still trying to find someone to take his place.
This place is good. The shoes is not possible.
Well, just taking his place has been the hard thing. So
Him and his wife are both retiring.
any questions, council?
Any questions of us?
I just think you guys are a shining star. Like anytime anybody visits, I just think it's amazing little tiny Toledo has you guys and all the things that you're doing. I just think it's amazing.
How you get those big boats out? That is,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
awesome to watch.
If you ever want to schedule a field trip.
We talked about it. Yeah, we just haven't. And summer's the time to do it when it's not mucky.
Oh, yeah, and then getting them inside that building and it's just creeping along there.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, how many millions is this worth?
That's ever since.
Lorna, anything?
No, it's just kind of fun to see it from this view instead of that view, because that view's a whole lot harder. And so I have to say that it's really.
She's cute.
See Debbie shine in this role, because having been in that, I know how difficult it is, and it's really nice to have the olive branch extended from the city through the council and the staff as a resource to help, because while the port looks like a big shiny gem, the work that goes behind it and the challenges with funding. And Stu knows that too, from being a passport, that is constant. And so I applaud her and I applaud you all for doing the work that you do to make it possible to have this relationship. So thank you from a different seat.
Well, I said it before and I'll say it again. We will do whatever we can to support the port. And that means testifying, that means, making the phone calls, writing letters, figuring out how to, for lack of a better word, not cost either one of us a ton of money to get something done. We're all in, because without you guys, seriously, we lose a ton in this town, right? I mean, you are our second largest employer in town, I believe. And you're definitely the second largest in terms of dollars. So it's an important asset for this community. And the fact that you've been able to do it in a small community without the tax base that some other places have. It's just, I mean, it's more than a shining testament. It really shows how hard you've worked to get here. And I don't want to lose that.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. I'm sorry we didn't have very good attendance.
That's all right. I know, like I said, I know where Rick lives. I will see Rick.
Part of that throughout.
You probably thought it was the 6th.
All right, so I will adjourn, I will recess the meeting and we will take a 10-minute break.
Thank you. Thanks for the goodies.
Yeah.
Call this meeting Toledo City Council work session for June 26, 2024 to order. We are resuming our meeting from 5:30. We had a joint session with the Port of Toledo Commissioners. First up, visitors and public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to address council on any items that are not on tonight's agenda? State your name for the record.
My name is Barry Brewster, and I just wanted to give you an update on the Airbnbs we got going on in Toledo. So we've got the one going on above Mom and Dad on Main Street there. It's a 2-bedroom apartment. We're booked all through June and July. The weekends are all tourists, and then the middays are construction workers for Georgia Pacific, working on the Old Coast Aquarium and putting cabinets in. So August is looking at, the first weekend of August is booked, but the rest of August, the rest of the year is not after that. So it's kind of like, everybody boosted the prices. And so I thought, okay, I'll boost my prices too. So, but we'll see if that's really what we want to go to. Our focus is hospitality. And so it's decked out. If Pop-Tarts, there's popcorn, there's anything you need is there. And if you need anything, let me know and we'll get it.
Flavor Pop-Tarts, do you carry the cherry?
Strawberry.
Oh, forget
Is
it.
cherry better?
Cherry.
Because I can do cherry. Okay, I'll make a note. We'll do cherry.
Cinnamon.
So that's our cinnamon. And so that's, yeah, so we're doing great with that as far as that goes. I got a second one that's a king size suite that's also ready to go. And then we'll get started on the 2-bedroom above the old, it's Brewster's Whimsy. So I'm Brewster and I can do whatever I want downstairs. And so that'll be the one upstairs. So that is my update. And also, I've been sending around a little video of soapbox derby. So go to Red Bull and look at soapbox derbies. And they have incredible soapbox. I want to do it down Main Street. So I want to create an event to do that.
Oh, you've got to see the video.
You have to see the videos.
Now, let's envision that video going down East Slope.
No. Yeah, too fast.
There are some of those on that video that have wings. And if they went down East Slope, they'd get air.
A third of your score is based on creativity. So how creative can you make your soapbox? So it's not just your little kid soapbox, which if we did like a 3-day event, maybe the first day would be the kids racing, those kind of things with the STEM program, that kind of a deal. Then the second day would be actual adults. And I mean, they make airplanes and ships and it's all soapbox. And then you have jumps that you go over. You go through water features, S-curves. It's quite the deal. And so it would go all the way 1,200 feet from the top of Main Street all the way down to the bottom where they crash. It's the most epic part of it. It's
I
the
mean,
most
the
fun
one
about it.
team.
They keep
Yeah.
crashing.
So do you just set up hay bales
So
again?
the stopping, so they have brakes, but yeah.
What did you say the video was? Red Bull?
Red Bull does it. They do it in London, Seattle, all over big cities. I think Portland has one or something like that. But anyways, I thought that would be a blast
If
for
I go
us.
to YouTube and just search Red Bull.
Yeah, soapbox.
Red Bull
Soapbox derby.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Red Bull soapbox
I'm
derby.
used to the Red Bull air shows, so that was gonna go online.
Yeah, so that's something fun that we're looking at. We're starting the Downtown Association. And so we're getting that going and we're trying to build up more and more stuff downtown. So. Any questions
Barry.
for me?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that timing was excellent.
Anyone else in the audience wish to address council on an item not on tonight's agenda? Anyone online?
If anyone online wishes to speak to the council, please raise your hand electronically and you will be recognized. There are no hands raised.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the regular meeting, February 7th, 2024. I would entertain a motion. Yes, you can.
I was reading through there and it had me absent at that meeting and I was actually there.
Just go past it, read the meeting stuff.
Well, I did make some motions, so I think.
Gotta be talented.
So I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented with that change.
Do I have a second?
A second.
It's been moved by Frank, seconded by Kim to approve the consent agenda as amended, which has the minutes from the regular meeting held February 7th, 2024. I will take a roll call vote. Counselor Mix,
Yes.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Strong,
Yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Council President Bush,
Yes.
Counselor Solia,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion carries 7-0. Next item, discussion items. First up, consideration for funding request, Barry Brewster. Now, wait a minute, he does not look like Barry Brewster. I don't think you've ever had that much hair, Barry.
No. So, yes, so this is Dakota Nicholson. And I am Barry Brewster for the record. Talking about beautification of Toledo is what we're talking about, specifically downtown. So there's a couple planting areas downtown that we would like to work on, and we're looking for funding to do that. I went to St. Paul, Minneapolis, and they have a huge park, which is actually the top of like a super underground parking garage. And it was amazing to walk through it. It wasn't like real flowery, but it smelled amazing. And so I was just captivated by it. I would just walk back and forth because it smelled so good. And we would like to do the same thing here. We like to have a sensory garden areas that are both beautiful, smelling, inviting to wildlife, birds, bees, all that kind of different things. And so there's 3 planters at the parking lot. My dad kind of has been planting wildflowers in one. And so we would like to clean those out, leave the big brush there that's there, and put in thyme. So blue thyme, red thyme, and a blue thyme. And then on the rock part stuff there also, we would like to change some of that and putting some different mosses and stuff like that. Dakota is the gardener. He's got the green thumb, and so he's the one that will be actually putting it all into place and things like that. We're looking at putting possibly some blueberry bushes later on in some different areas. On the top of the hill, we'd be doing some raspberry and strawberry, possibly things that people could just go and pick and eat, and all of it's edible, all of it's good stuff, non-toxic.
Maybe those thornless raspberries so little kids don't get their fingers all stuck up.
Well, that takes all the fun out of it.
Oh, hey, that's fun.
Well, those are the preliminary ones. And then we thought it would be kind of cool is behind the parking lot where they have to go weed eat the mountain all the time. And so wouldn't that be awesome if it was all blue with a giant golden T in it?
Oh, darn. That'd just break my heart.
Wouldn't that? It would just be like, yeah, so that would set off a lot of different aspects, especially from if you're down at the port looking back up towards Toledo, you'd see that big golden T up there. It'd be amazing. But that's for another time. Unless you want to spend the money.
Which time?
Well, we were trying to get our feet wet with this first parts of it, because we'd like to
Trying
do
be
that.
funny, Barry.
Oh, okay. Oh, time. I get it, time. You get it? Time. I didn't get it.
Hey, I'm a dad. I'm allowed to have dad jokes.
That was funny. I thought that was good.
Wow.
That was good first.
Well, we can't take any action tonight.
No.
But this is something that I would like to see us think about. I think I know of a way to fund it. But we have to talk and I will bring this up again in council comments at the end for us to have a discussion about this. Does that work for everyone?
What is hot lip sage? I have never.
I will defer to Master Garden.
Butterfly attractor, right?
If you actually, it's the middle picture and you can't quite see it super well, but it's essentially, it kind of looks like a snapping dragon almost, but it's red with white at the tip of it.
I've seen it. Never.
Really pretty.
And here I was going back to MASH. So all of these are perennials, yes?
I'm that old. I don't know what to say.
Well, as far as doing this, this sounds like a really great first step. I know there has been some discussion about the trees that were planted on Main Street and maybe.
That is that is actually part of the urban renewal plan is to put in
New
trees that actually are meant for streetscape.
What trees?
Taproot trees.
Yeah.
Taproot instead of spread out.
Spreading.
Yeah, disrupting the buildings and stuff. So
Right.
We can go to the next slide if you want.
Yeah, okay.
And so we'll just go through these real fast. So we're looking at 4 weeks to get everything weeded and mediated, 2 months of watering and stuff. So we're looking at about 3 months of actual paid maintenance for it. And then it should just take off on its own. And then those are the prices. Oops, that's okay. And then you can go to the next slide. So those are the actual spots that we were talking about.
No, I love the idea.
So season wise, as long as this is gonna take to do, are we okay planting wise? Later in the season since,
Since it's already this, yeah, I think with the weather that we're having right now, and it seems like it's gonna be not a super hot summer here.
I just
think
read because of La Nina and El Nino, it's
It's-
wetter and than
Yep.
normal.
exactly,
Yeah.
and so I think that we don't see much of a problem at all, and especially with these, they're vast majority of them are more desert climate-esque plants. They, they don't require a lot of water to get them started. And so I don't see much of a problem with it.
And that's why we picked them too, because it's ongoing. There's not that much maintenance.
Yeah.
Right.
They only get
Very
a certain size and they don't grow beyond that.
so then, okay, Mayor, if I may ask.
Yeah.
So then we'll come back and visit this from today till the point when we actually approve it, how much time would you?
That's part of the reason why we have to discuss it tonight, because depends on what source of funding we use. If we use urban renewal, that has to be done with the urban renewal agency, which means we have to have a meeting of the urban renewal agency, which means we would go probably a half hour before the next council meeting.
Okay.
What's the total price tag on this?
About 6,000.
Do we have that in our city council discretionary?
Yes, we do. That's why we've got to go through the process of how do we want to fund this?
I met with Doug and he said there's some alternative things besides urban renewal. That's why he didn't come to urban renewal.
Right, because, and I see two obvious ways to do it, but I gotta know, I need to have consensus
We
of
have to
y'all,
discuss it.
how we do it, right?
So what are our other options other than the city, there it is, okay.
Yeah,
What are the other options other than urban renewal and the city council?
those are the cleanest ones.
Okay,
Doug knows a way to do a couple other ones, but as I was talking with Doug, I want to do clean as best as possible. I don't like confusing people, especially us. So if we can keep, if we can keep a nice clean funding stream on it, that would be my goal.
Well,
And
and
those are the two clean ways.
and it seems like city council, we could do it quicker too.
Either way, we do it we do it next week. It's just a matter of
No.
which way do we do it?
The next meeting, which is in 3
Well,
weeks.
that's right. Yeah,
That's it,
So-
that's
so-
in 3 weeks.
yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of prodding here to see how we can expedite.
Well, that's why I want consensus, because it logically can be done out of urban renewal, because that's what this is what urban renewal is meant for.
Can we
It's
put it into
beautifying.
discussion items?
I can, if you want.
Is this something you guys?
I think so.
want-
I think we really want a discussion item.
It's not a time pertinent.
Yeah, that's,
It's whatever
yeah,
you
it's
like.
not a
Okay,
time.
so, Counselor. I need consensus. We want to move this to a discussion item this evening.
Yes, please.
A decision item? Yeah.
But yeah, move to a decision item this evening.
Yes.
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 Yeah, why not?
Sue?
It's not time sensitive and I know that we're talking about it and it's not to hold them up and such on there. But, you know.
So if we couldn't give you the go-ahead for 3 weeks, would it be too late at that point?
I wouldn't think so. It just depends on what the weather's looking like, planting wise.
It's just gonna cause, so it'll,
Yeah,
what it's gonna do is it's going to limit the amount of time that the plants are gonna have to establish themselves
Before the.
before going into
Yeah.
the wettest part of our year. And it seems like the sooner we do for a planting schedule,
It
the
would-
better.
Well, and I'm just thinking how many events we have going on here in the next few months, and it would be better to get it done
Yes,
later
Lisa.
than later.
I have a quick comment and then Doug has his hand raised.
Oh.
yeah.
So really quick, if the council would like to put their hats on and consider this as urban renewal, you can call a meeting on July 2nd,
Okay.
which is next Tuesday.
I'm trying to think of how we usually do it. I'm thinking of special meetings.
Yeah, so, I
Okay,
mean, urban renewal is not designated to any specific day or time, so it's as needed. So if
okay.
if the agency feels they need to hold a meeting just for this one item, they can.
Okay. Doug?
Lisa stole my thunder, so I was just gonna say that we could always call a meeting, right after the 4th or right before the 4th if you decided to go the urban renewal way, to have that meeting. And the mayor's right in that the cleaner's better. And that does fit the definition of our improving our downtown within the URA, so.
Yeah, I would feel better getting it, some more little discussion and getting it clarified as far as funding and such. I got no problem. with
Right,
funding.
well, let's move this to a decision item. And since I already have them here, I'll go and make that the first bullet point under decision item.
Okay.
Track me when I get there because we have to make some decisions anyway. Whether we move it or not, so. You ready to jump back up there in a few minutes?
Thank you.
All right, next discussion item, consideration for designated Main Street restaurant curbside pickup parking. And
Actually.
well, I'm gonna pass the ball to you to lead this discussion.
Okay. There's a couple of people at Green Dragon had approached me and asked for a curbside parking when Cafe 235 moves into the hotel, because that's gonna take up a whole bunch of parking, and they have disabled people, they should roll up there and they can't really get out, and if all of Cafe 235 is taken up, then they can't. So I went around and talked with the mayor, and we got Green Dragon, Cafe 235, and Timbers. All would like to get a curbside parking. Now at Timbers, it would only be every day but Thursday. This Thursday is food pantry, which they would relinquish that for food pantry so people could roll up and park there.
So essentially, in that particular case, we just re-sign it so that it would be curbside parking. How would we word that? Say Friday, Wednesday, and then on Thursday. Yeah.
And we need to not have it be restaurant curbside pickup parking, because last I checked, the Green Dragon was not a restaurant, even if they do have all my favorite snacks.
Couldn't we just say curbside parking for Timbers and the food pantry, and it would be obvious that.
It's for while business hours only is what it
Because,
would be.
because for the food pantry, they need it for about 3 hours. in the morning.
Thursday morning, yeah.
Okay, Ashley, give us your pitch.
So I'm Ashley Sutherland. I'm here to represent Green Dragon. Like you said, we would like a 15-minute curbside pickup sign during our business hours in front of the store. We get a lot of older customers and disabled that rely on that. And for OLCC standards, we have to have that parking in front of our cameras so they can see the transaction. And with the restaurant and bar opening, that's gonna take away a lot of our most valued parking. So, yeah, we would like that. And she wanted me to say, all of our employees, we park in the back parking lot, so none of us park up top or on Main Street, so. That's my take.
So if you had a 15-minute parking that during your business hours, that would take care of it?
Yes,
But it would have to be stated for curbside for Green Dragon, because otherwise people would roll up for 15 minutes for Cafe 235.
right,
Or for
Well, I mean,
Holy Toledo or whatever it is.
Either way on there.
yeah.
So it's easier to do that than to change a bunch of other stuff.
Well, and I'd like to point out something else. Anything we designate here is gonna have to be enforced by our local police. So that's, I'm not saying that to deter it. I'm just saying that's a factor we have to weigh in.
Well, one of the things that I've seen other cities do, even in Eastern Oregon, which I never thought I'd see that many designated parking spots in my life. But they do that and you know, which is the 15-minute curbside pickup spot. You can see them from space. They're using bright fluorescent paint and they're cross-hatching them. I mean, it's like someone can't say, oh, I didn't know that was, dude, the sign, the paint job, yeah.
I'm all about paper and crayon and making it as obvious.
And I would be totally open to where if once the 15 minutes is over, all of a sudden the parking spot like has an eject button. And it has to eject the car and there we go, when we move on to the next one.
That's all fine and good, but hereafter though, is that 15-minute when they pull up where you can get the cameras and such on there. So if it was designated with some stripes or whatever, like I can't see putting your or Green Dragon only, but I could see a 15-minute spot because
Well, you could put
Yeah.
for the restaurant only,
Well, wait a minute,
Yeah,
or in this case, the business only. Okay,
We have talked about our businesses on Main Street,
Yeah.
having the ability to occupy the space in front of their business.
yes, I know.
Who cares if they're putting a pub out there or a parking spot? Give them the spot.
yeah, that's what I mean. If you just put a sign that said 15-minute parking, then you'd have it. And it was designated that people would go in.
It'd be their spot.
Yeah.
But there's an easy way though, in this case, in this particular business's case, there's an easy way to police it because they're cameraing the whole thing.
We have other businesses.
Wait,
I guess you wanna
please.
put-
We have other,
Yeah.
we have other,
But okay, they're
okay,
been there long
If
enough.
they each had the 15-minute spot on there.
okay,
All
so
these other
Stu,
businesses don't have.
These are the arrangements.
I'm also going to say that I've on city council in this particular town for 18 years now. This is my 18th year. We go through this as far as something about Main Street parking every 3.5 years on average.
Oh, less than
That's-
that.
No, sometimes we actually got a 5-year span between the arguments about parking on Main Street. The 15-minute curbside / pickup / this type of parking, in my opinion, is a good way to split the doggone beast that we've always had on Main Street, which is where do the owners of the businesses park who then complain that there's no parking on Main Street? Okay? If these businesses, because let's be honest, folks, since COVID, pickup and takeaway is a whole lot bigger part of your business than it used to be.
Yep.
And so having a spot for people like the Timbers or Cafe 235, when they get moved into where the hotel is. So they have a spot where people can get up, get their stuff, get out the door and go. Will improve not just the business climate, but I think the parking climate on Main Street.
So are we thinking like, okay, the Bayfront in Newport has those red so they have a red area, and of course, I like your idea of, having it more bright in the parking spot too. And then of course, but the red side is for loading and unloading and, or pick up and delivery, or however we want to designate it. I mean, we'd have to, the public works would have to paint it. Do we have to change our charter to do this, or?
No, not the charter.
But
We might want to do an ordinance.
yeah, that's what's gonna have to happen, but
But it wouldn't be like the ordinances later this evening. It would not be that long.
No.
I've seen longer sometimes.
I thought it was paid by the word.
That's what he thinks too. I see it. I see it just rattling about.
He's a good attorney, but.
Yeah.
Comment from the peanut
Yeah,
gallery?
if there was-
In a moment.
Yeah, again, if there was in front of your business, if there was a 15-minute parking spot, 15-minute business parking spot, that would take care of it for you, right?
But.
No, because if
unless you
the
make
bar
it-
opens, then the bar could have.
It's gotta be specified for our curbside pickup,
See, that's-
otherwise then people are
Is
gonna.
that your issue?
My issue is that we've already, if we start doing that, then we're gonna have to do it on a permit basis, and you're gonna have to pay for that.
Okay,
Yes.
Why?
Why?
Well, I don't know about paying for it, but you're gonna have to apply for
But
it.
why?
Why?
Because we've already done that, because we had the construction people, we give them 6 months in front of their place.
They didn't have to pay for that.
Well, would not pay for it, but you have to go through the permitting process and such. But if we did in front of your business and you didn't put your name on it, then we could.
Why would they need a permit?
Not only that, but you're talking about all these other businesses, they don't do curbside pickup. You're talking about restaurants in Green Dragon only. All these other businesses on Main Street, they don't do curbside pickup.
Yeah.
So why would they need a curbside pickup sign?
If they wanted it, then we could put it in front of their business. but
What
I
is their,
don't think that.
what
we
do they do curbside pickup anywhere in town besides
That's
restaurants?
all I'm saying is a sign that says curbside pickup. That's right in front of their business. Without advertising in their business for them only.
How is that advertised?
That would clean it up, in my opinion.
But if the purpose is to give those businesses and the parking both ways, give it a better traffic flow, why wouldn't you be designated to the business?
Because the business is the one making this request.
But what I'm getting at is that it should be designated to the business because it's about that business and how that business operates.
I'm just looking at what they did on the waterfront and they did not designate the business. They just did the parking spots.
That's because they're making everybody pay.
Well, and there's also some places
We're not trying to
on
make
that, in that area that are just, that says 15. Yeah.
Oh, they're all
Yeah.
stoned, forget it.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I enjoyed those comments. So,
Newport is
yes,
So I know we have a couple of people in the audience want to speak to this first. John, if you want to step up, take a seat and state your name for the record, please.
Stu kind of stole my thunder. I just wanted to remind the council when I was here before about the construction parking that Council President Bush suggested that you all take up some permit parking and look at the entire city and perhaps permits and zones and all that. So I was just sitting back there listening to all this thinking all this parking could be rolled into one issue work session and you could hash it all out, and take care of it. All I was thinking.
Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
Barry, state your name for the record, please.
My name is Barry Brewster. I own property on Main Street and businesses on Main Street. My only issue would be is opening a little bit of a can of worms, because then if Green Dragon gets that specific parking only for Green Dragon, then every single other business down Main Street is gonna say, I want the parking in front of my Main Street to be only my business also. So it doesn't become public parking anymore. It becomes
During their business hours.
in their business hours, but it's public parking regardless.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
So so I have an Airbnb, I'm there 24 hours a day, so that's my business.
This is point blank, okay?
Yeah,
Tell me what other business in town tell me what other business other than Green Dragon and the two
I'm not
restaurants.
talking about the
I'm
15
just-
thing.
Listen for a second. Other than those three entities on Main Street, who else has a non-browsing business.
No, I agree with that. Alls I'm saying is you've eliminated that parking spot from the public parking. It is now a 15-minute.
From their hours.
You've eliminated it from all other nobody else can park in that spot unless you go to Green Dragon.
So once again, okay, I'm gonna go back to this. 18 years I've been sitting in these chairs, listening to people on Main Street talk about their parking. We need to have time parking because we need to make sure people move along. Well, sir, you park in that spot and you own the business. Are you gonna get out and move your car every 2 hours? Well, no, because that's my parking spot.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's
I'm not
sorry.
opposed to it. I'm just
I've
saying,
lost a lot of sympathy for business owners over the years because they don't want people moving because they want to park in
I
front of
agree.
their
I
own
have
business.
people parking from my place that are at the thrift store all the
I
time.
know,
And it's,
Terry, I
but
get that,
that's the way it is.
but the thrift
So-
store is not an in and out business.
No, I agree. All I'm saying is if you designate this parking space for Green Dragon only, if you do a 15-minute come and go, then that's fine. But if you designate it for Green Dragon only,
So
then you open the door for every other business to say, I want only my parking space there also.
have you missed the part of this conversation where we're not just talking about Green Dragon, we're talking about Timbers.
For Timbers, so if Timbers has their own parking spot, and then the Hawaiian place has their own parking spot. So those are 3 parking spots that are business
Keep bringing it back
only
to the Green
related.
Dragon. So what about the other two? Do they not, are they, should they
Same
not be?
thing, it would be the same thing. So
Okay,
then all of
thank
a
you for
sudden
being,
yeah,
thank you
no,
for being honest
absolutely.
straight across the board.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't have a problem with it. Like, I agree that if you want to have a 15-minute spot for somebody to come and go, that's fine. But as soon as you designate that as only for that business, then all of a sudden, every other business up and down the street is gonna say, I only want my business to have parking out there.
And now you know why we've never done any.
Yeah, that's why it's-
stuff on Main Street.
Difference between even and fair. We're trying to support a business on Main Street that has a special need.
Can you get us?
Not every business on Main
Hang on a
Street
second,
has a
Jackie,
special
you
need.
can fire again.
So we are trying to support that business and their need. Is it fair? Yes, because they have that need and the other businesses don't. Is it even? No. It's not even, but it is fair because they have a different need than other business owners have, and we're trying to be supportive of all businesses.
We've been
Fair
trying
and
to get,
even aren't the same thing.
we've been trying to get a disabled parking spot there. When the beauty parlor was on that corner because of all the senior citizens that we had to assist getting out of their vehicles to go in to get their hair done. So we've been trying that long to get a designated parking spot on that corner.
Now, is the ordinance says that you can rent the parking spots? I heard you can rent.
Yes, there is. We've been working.
We actually passed a parklet
I-
ordinance.
I don't think we did, but we've
But
been,
it's right better
practically
in
there.
2015 came and proposed. A lot of cities are doing parklets and businesses are renting this as spot and. You know, it has to be a pre-approved type of material, but building a deck out and having
Right.
chairs.
In Corvallis.
Yeah.
yeah, you can have your own little parking spot.
Corvallis,
Or-
Well, so,
Midvale,
okay. Like I said,
but also,
I'm just trying to keep it even for everybody. I understand.
every time you say even, somebody else says on Main Street, that's not fair. No matter how you word this, no matter how you try to do, we tried to do that during COVID and people got upset,
Yeah, it's
okay?
always somebody that's not fair.
Historically, on Main Street, there has been some 15-minute, or I know that in front of the hotel, when the hotel was.
Yeah, they had a disabled spot.
They had a spot for cabs,
There's still a loading zone there.
a loading zone, whatever. So that's all.
So what if we
When
just
you
do
park
loading
there, that's all
zones?
you could do would be to drop somebody off and such. So I don't know. I don't see any reason why we couldn't just put up a 15-minute parking spot and give that a trial instead of designating it exactly.
So would you do 3 of them or would you only do the one?
Well, I think we need to do
Well,
more.
she's
because
the
what
only
about the other
person
ones
to
on
come
the
up and
street?
ask if we have another business who wants another.
Got
one.
us asked.
Yes.
They don't do as much takeout, at least from what
Yeah,
they told
they
me.
ask, then we can put up a 15-minute spot for them.
We get
But
15 minutes.
right now, we
right
have
across the
one
street.
business owner here that was asking for that one spot. And as long as we don't just completely designate it for that, well, if we say 15 minutes, you got your camera, you got people, then it would start to see what happens. 15 minutes.
Curbside pickup actually take 15 minutes?
No. That's not how busy they are in there.
No, but that's generally
I mean,
accepted.
we could go 10 minutes, I
Put on
mean, whatever, just so it helps you.
So what would your explanation be to somebody who's disabled? And can't get into a spot there to Green Dragon because some other jokers parked there in their spot for 15 minutes and walked down the road to go shop somewhere else? What would you tell that disabled person, Stu?
I would tell them, drive around the block, come back, because of the fact that.
Okay, don't make it personal.
Yeah.
Don't make it personal,
We
right?
are,
Discuss.
we are not, we are, it's public parking and we're just trying to move people along.
Moving people along when you're not allowing disabled people to get to where they need to go, Stu.
Yes, if you put 15 minutes on there, 10 minutes, I don't care. You want 5 minutes? You can do 5-minute parking. If you want to park right in front of their business and such on there, you can do that. It's loading and unloading
I'm a
business.
little
in there.
bit confused because I walk. And I walk downtown and during the day. The street is lined with cars and I'm thinking, wow, business is good, but. What are all these cars doing there? I don't see people.
There's a lot of residents that live on Main Street.
Is that what it is?
I have 6 apartments above, well, 5 apartments above mine, so, and then the hotel is full of residents.
Okay.
So you have 30, possibly 30, yeah.
People just moved out.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of rentals on Main Street.
Yeah.
That you don't realize because they're.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And it used to be that residents weren't allowed to park on Main Street and park on the side streets.
But then we eliminated the side street parking
Gone
to make
away.
room for people driving up and down,
Mhm.
which slowed
I think I
traffic,
know
which
one way.
slowed traffic down. Now everybody speeds up and down Graham Street. So, yeah. Well, I thank you for taking my comments.
I'm only chuckling because I've heard every one of these arguments at least 10 times. And we always end up in the same spot. Well, we really can't do anything because everybody's mad at us.
No,
So all I'm saying, okay, and I understand what you're saying, Stu, so we need to know exactly how we'd have to word them. Okay, because when people say loading and unloading, they don't think of private vehicles. They think of
Yeah.
They think of commercial vehicles, okay? So how do we word our signage? How do we paint our signage? How do we do that?
We just call it pickup and delivery.
15-minute.
Because that'll cover both uses.
Okay,
Right in front of the store.
We call it pickup and delivery loading zone or for unloading and loading or pickup and
loading
delivery
and
only.
unloading of whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then we limit a time. We don't have to necessarily say for the Green Dragon or this business or that business only. We just leave that as a designated spot in that location and we leave their name out of it. So we don't have other businesses complaining because most likely that's where it's gonna be used anyway.
So while we do this, and then I know Frank brought up the disabled parking. As far as I'm aware, there's only 2 spots on Main Street. Well, if you count this lot. There's only 2. There's 1 spot down in the parking lot down by Charlie's. And the other spot's right across here. Of the ones that are
There's one
marked,
in front of the hotel.
can you show me how well it's marked?
It's still there.
Didn't say it wasn't marked well.
It's still there. It's still clearly marked.
I'm not arguing that it's not. I'm saying it's not well marked.
It's
Because you
clearly
can
marked.
see that one, right? And you can see the one in the parking lot. You can see the 2 in this part. What I'm getting at is that, do we have enough handicap parking,
No.
number 1? Number 2, we need to get the paint jobs on.
Yeah, we don't have enough handicap.
We don't have enough.
Are there
And
So-
cutouts?
now that it's faded, that's why I put it in front of Green Dragon.
At the
They
end.
don't need a handicap in front of the hotel that doesn't have an elevator.
Faces close to those would be better.
Right. They need to be at the end of the block,
Yeah.
okay?
Sorry.
Let's do this. Mike,
There,
did you get enough of this
We all did.
discussion to come up with some sort of a plan for us to look at our next council meeting?
I will endeavor to have something for you.
And can you bring the parklet thing back a little bit?
And if you need a
At the
parking
same
meter,
time?
there's an old-
No,
There's an old parking meter at the history center, so.
Parking meter.
I watched Sharon
Yeah, we've
Branson,
had,
God rest her soul.
We're not talking
mentioned-
paid parking, are we?
Mentioned those two words.
Yeah.
In one of these discussions, Stu,
What?
parking and meter.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's.
Oh, boy.
that's
I
bad.
will hit the roof.
Yeah.
That is
Well,
ridiculous.
Well, we could get a report.
See those nice smiling
See how
faces
that
right now?
parking on-
None of them were
Yeah.
smiling when she said those two words. So I don't think I want to go there.
I don't wanna mess with the.
I probably won't have a final solution, Mayor, but I'll have information and.
Great idea.
stuff for you guys to-
That's
Thank
what
you
we
very
need.
much, Mike.
You could bring that back.
That's all we need.
September. 3 weeks. Great.
All right,
He said next.
next council.
Yeah, that's 3 weeks.
In 3
That's
weeks.
3 weeks. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking I gotta finish it by tomorrow to get it on the agenda.
No,
We canceled next week's meeting.
It's just information, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
So you're good.
because most of these people don't know what we're talking about when we're talking
Yeah.
about parklets.
And
No,
also, could we get a look from?
And we were that close.
Map from the Public Works Director to maybe what spots need to be, designated as.
I was thinking as part of that, we could do a map and overlay some different
Ideas, yeah.
squares and ideas and consult with him and consult with Doug.
Let's look at the entire Main Street when we're looking at the
We
different
can call
parking.
Public Works.
Yeah.
Not just these businesses. Let's look at the entire Main Street, make sure that we're covering
In case you don't
everything.
know, Brian, that means you go ask Arlene, can you please print me up these maps with these overlays? Yes, Lisa.
Instead of a regular meeting, do you want that as a work session so you can actually dive into that discussion a little bit further?
Do we have to?
Oh, that'd be good. Better put it
If we're
on.
talking about having maps
So pushing it to,
Put it on.
20 something.
Yeah.
after July 17th. July.
Actually.
Yeah, July
you can-
24th.
You can go ahead. Go ahead.
That would give them a lot more time. to put
so pushing
together.
it to July 24th.
Yeah.
Mike, will that be better for you?
Fine, sure, Mayor.
Okay.
Anything to the right is good.
I can give you a softball too, Mike.
We'll work on this.
Thanks, Ashley. All right, so let's put this on the work session agenda for the 24th.
Who designates the handicap spots?
It's actually a matter more of, they have to be at the end of blocks unless you have an access ramp in the middle of the block, and almost nobody has those.
Well,
So they would be at the end of blocks, however you wanted to do that.
we always used to get the poo-poo from the city hall when we tried to get it moved from in front of the hotel
Mhm.
to in front of the beauty park.
We'll
Oh,
figure
no,
something.
no, we can't do that.
No,
No good excuse.
Yes.
My only thought would be thinking outside of the box is doing a temporary thing until you guys make a decision that you can have a temporary loading zone and that way you
Right
can.
now, we're
See how it would
kind of
work.
get into a box.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. But I'm just trying to help them.
All right, next item is decision item, and we added one for tonight, the consideration for funding request on the gardening. So if you guys would step back up. Okay, we've already heard your presentation. So council, I'm gonna throw out an idea. Doug, I'm gonna need your input on this. So here's my thought. Council fronts the money to the urban renewal district so we can pass it tonight, but the urban renewal district, because this plan is right up the urban renewal district's alleyway, as it were, reimburses, thank you. I gotta get more sleep. Reimburses our city council fund for that dollars to get this started. Did we do that?
Why don't we go 50-50?
My one thought is you as counselors can't find you as directors of the urban renewal district.
Right.
So if the directors would have to approve that. So you can approve it, but if you as directors don't approve it,
Can we,
All right.
can we close this when?
don't approve the reimbursement.
Not without. Not
We gotta notice it.
Yeah.
You already said that we could do a special meeting on the second
Right.
for the urban renewal and get it all passed and such on there.
But it's because that's,
Yeah.
because I was thinking about not adding another meeting, Stu,
Yeah.
because if we did it this way, then we could add it as that half-hour adjunct onto our regular meeting coming up in July.
Well, and another issue is July 1 is the new budget year.
Correct.
I don't think
Yeah,
it's
we
a
need
good
to have
idea
more.
to do the payback.
So I make
Well,
propositions.
Let's just.
Because remember what our city council reserve fund is essentially for emergencies, unforeseen circumstances that, like COVID was. Okay. But it is directly up the urban renewal district's alley.
It is a.
So unless we want to have a special meeting,
I don't know that he does.
okay? And I don't know of anybody here who wants to come in here for a 15-minute meeting next Tuesday
I do.
and pay overtime to have staff here to do it.
Do it in the afternoon meeting and do it as Zoom.
It still requires staff,
Staff has to be paid.
okay? So I'm trying to find a way to not just be clean, but be cheap. How's that?
Okay.
Oh,
So
Mayor, may I speak a second?
Oh,
I'm
go,
sorry
Doug.
to interrupt, but so like Mike said, you can't be bound, you can't bound over the URA. However, you guys could decide to do something tonight from your fund. And then I guess by all technicality, you would direct staff to write a letter to the URA asking for help or reimbursement, but then it would have to come back before a URA meeting. I mean, that would be probably, I don't know, talk to Mike. That would, I mean, that's.
Still
it's-
take
it's
the
kind
URA
of a-
meeting, we need to have one way or another.
My worry is.
Yeah, URA, you're
dealing-
still gonna have to have one.
you're dealing with
No, but see, if we have a
budget
meeting
years.
at one of our regular meetings, then we're not, I don't want to have a special meeting with everything that entails to do this.
See,
Does that make
next,
sense?
next week's probably too late in my mind because you're gonna approve it tonight as the council on 26th.
What if we
On the
were to,
first, the budget's gonna change.
but what if we were to say payable on July 2nd out of next year's budget? Would that get around that?
Doug is shaking yes.
Yeah.
For the council?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So as far as doing this, if we pledge the money, you could start the process of doing it. And then if the check came in 3 weeks, you'd be still okay with it, right?
I think.
So if we just said, yes, we'll pledge the money, the check's in the mail.
Hey, Barry, I got a question.
I mean, that would.
You had talked
Say we
before
could
about
have
a big
another
deal.
meeting.
You were gonna talk to the county about, did you ever get the county to?
I haven't talked to them yet about
Haven't yet? I was hoping they were gonna give you the go ahead to start planting there too.
But they would,
I know.
they would, yeah, yeah. So that would work for you folks then.
So.
So what was your thing, Tracy?
I will float, Brewster Enterprises will float the loan.
Yeah, for 3 weeks or.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll take care of it until.
So,
Yeah.
my proposal was gonna be, you know, Rod, you said that the city council discretionary fund was only for emergencies, but we have used it for other than emergencies. We just recently funded 2 big donations out of that fund because it was inconvenient to do otherwise.
I understand. I just want us to always keep that in our mind when we talk about this.
Noted.
Right?
Now,
Yeah.
I still propose that we take this out of our city council discretionary fund and just do it. And we increase the amount that we set aside to do this to maybe 6,500 because I don't see any discretionary costs factored in here. Things could come up, you could hit, something can happen. And I think it's always good to have a little leeway. Now, maybe the bill doesn't come to that and it still comes in at the 6,061.01, fantastic. But I don't think there's anything wrong with using the city council discretionary fund for this. Because it's time sensitive somewhat,
I understand.
and because of where we are, it's the cleanest and the easiest way to do it. So my question would be, I guess, is
So let me run this scenario by you, see if that's what you might be thinking. All right, so we pledge the money out of the city council Strategic Reserve Fund in an amount of $6,500 payable on the first day of the new fiscal year, which would be July 1st.
Okay.
Okay. And then we agree in consensus, not with a vote, to put this same thing on a URA agenda later on in the month of July.
And then we can all come back and vote on it as board members.
Exactly. But I would like to direct our attorney though, to send the URA board a notice of request, if you could do that.
I'm feeling a little bipolar now. This is weird.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Okay, does anybody have anything on that proposal?
So we're pledging the money and they'll get the money.
They'll get the money on the
They'll get
first.
the money.
July 1st.
Next week, we'll get the money next week.
They'll get the money.
And it'll come out of the, or eventually it'll come out of the.
Eventually it'll be out of the urban renewal.
Yes, and that's where it should come out.
Right.
So in the end, it's just gonna look like the URA paid for it.
Right.
Really.
In the end,
And that's-
URA is paying for
And
it.
because it is downtown and it is urban renewal.
They might.
Yeah.
They might, we don't know what they're gonna do.
We don't know what those
We don't
directions
know
will be.
what
Weird.
I've heard there's a.
Somebody fund to cover it if they don't approve it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's an emergency because those weirdos.
Did someone make a motion to this?
What's the motion you just stated?
I move,
Right there.
Two.
See if she got it.
I move for the city council to use city council discretionary funds to fund $6,500.
From fiscal year 24-25.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
$6,500 from fiscal year
$6,500.
24-25.
to fund the Toledo summer planting in our downtown open spaces that have been designated in this plan. I'm reading this all
To the
wrong.
tune of how much?
$6,500.
The Toledo summer plan.
Yes,
Okay.
A second.
and
You need to add one more thing to that.
and to submit a request to the Urban Renewal Agency for reimbursement.
Thank you. All right.
Now I'll second.
Okay.
Doug has a question.
I'll be with you in a second, Doug. I gotta write this down or I'll.
Don't lose it. Please don't lose it.
That's it, strategic reserve funds.
Don't follow you. And Frank. Okay, now Doug.
I know we even got.
Just my question
Quiet,
is,
please.
sorry, just my question was gonna be, is this gonna be a lump sum or a reimbursement?
Lump sum.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to know.
Okay. All right, it's been moved by Tracy, seconded by Frank, to authorize the expenditure of $6,500 from the City Council Strategic Reserve Fund for the fiscal year of 24-25 to be payable to the Toledo Summer Plan and whatever the entity, what did you specifically say your entity was?
Well, can we do it Brewster Enterprise LLC?
There you go. Brewster Enterprise LLC to oversee those fundings. And also to send a request to the Urban Renewal Agency for funding of this project. All right, take a roll call vote. Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Strong,
Yeah.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Council President Bush,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes.
Counselor Mix.
I mean, yes.
Oh, dear. And I vote yes. Motion carries 7-0. Go forth and make it smell good.
Thank you.
What's a marathon?
And thank you for putting up with us. Now for our regular schedule.
Now on to the regularly scheduled mayhem. All right, next up, certify the results of the May 21, 2024 primary election.
We have to talk about this.
No.
I
Unless
moved
you
to
want
accept
to.
the certified results of the May 21st, 2024 primary election.
Second.
I'm gonna give it to Jackie. Just gotta find that. It's been moved by Tracy, seconded by Jackie, to accept the certified results of the May 21st, 2024 primary election. We'll take a roll call vote. Counselor Strong,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes, please.
Council President Bush,
Yes.
Counselor Kaufman,
Yes.
Counselor Mix.
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion carries 7-0. Next item, ordinance number 1421, an ordinance continuing a 2-year ban on psilocybin service centers, psilocybin product manufacturers, and the manufacture of psilocybin products.
Mayor, council. I did send your request to the urban renewal district. To place an item on the agenda to reimburse the council for $6,500.
It doesn't pass Tracy's.
So. I didn't hear.
I heard, don't
Never
worry,
mind,
good.
just keep going, Mike, just keep going.
In November 2020, voters passed Ballot Measure 109, known as the Oregon Psilocybin Services Act, which was placed in ORS Chapter 475, which allows the regulation, manufacturing, transportation, delivery, sale, and purchase of psilocybin products and the provision of psilocybin services. Psilocybin mushrooms are wild or cultivated mushrooms that contain psilocybin, a naturally occurring psychoactive and hallucinogenic compound. It's used in PTSD treatments. Or as 474A 718 allowed local governments to prohibit the businesses by referring an ordinance to the voters in a general election. On November 8th, 2022, voters in the city of Toledo approved a moratorium through December 31st, 2024. It was measured 2110. There were 744 yes votes and 648 no votes. The ordinance provided for a 2-year ban, which sunsets or terminates this December 31st, 2024. You have before you 3 alternatives in how you wish to proceed with psilocybin. You can refer an additional 2-year moratorium to voters, which is what I have prepared. The ordinance and resolution. You can let the current moratorium expire and direct staff to bring back land use, time, place, manner ordinance to say where the different types of psilocybin facilities can be located. Or you can refer a permanent ban to voters. Sorry, I've got a nasal thing going on.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Number one, because I don't know the law. Is it illegal for people to grow their own personal psilocybin mushrooms? Is it? Okay.
I believe so.
I couldn't find that in there, so we're.
Read a bit about this and I don't understand why we're even worrying about this. So from what I understand, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that the law was passed in order to be a psilocybin therapy, it has to be done in a therapeutic setting. The people who are getting the certifications are paying an ungodly amount of money to get certified.
They're licensed, it's microdose.
It's insane how expensive it is. Only the upper echelon of society is going to be able to afford to go into one of these treatment centers and do this legally. The chances of this ever coming to Toledo and our depressed economy is slim to, like, nobody will make it work. Like, I don't understand why we're even worrying about it.
So here's why we're worrying.
Okay.
Okay, is you're right. As far as the treatment side of it, it probably won't happen in our lifetimes here in Toledo.
Yeah,
It's the manufacturer.
yeah, and I
Yeah,
don't
it's the,
know
it's
so
the
much
growth
about.
and manufacture side of it. And that's where if you, I mean, it's a long Google search, but it's worth it. Here in the state of Oregon, they still have not, for lack of a better word, codified what the rules are around the manufacture of it. The growth and manufacture of the psilocybin to be used. Right now, the shops in Portland are outsourcing their psilocybin. That is, and truly, that is my only worry, is that if the state of Oregon now, after over 2 years, still can't come up with rules that work for people to grow it here in the state, which is what that bill was supposed to have done, I'm curious if they ever will. I'm worth waiting on them because we've got the perfect climate to grow this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So we could, we could have grow operations.
I would
The
love that.
problem is
tax
there's
base.
no rules.
The Oregon Health Authority created Oregon administrative rules, which weren't complete by the first time we placed before the voters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was part of the reason for the initial delay.
Right.
OAR chapter 333, it's like 130 pages long when you print it as PDF.
So here's my other question. Do we have to send it back to the voters? Because as
That's
you
what I
know,
was
No.
we are about to slam them with a big packet.
Do option.
Okay, so if we want to continue the moratorium, we have to pass a resolution. If we want to let it lapse, and then it becomes, it goes into this, it goes into the, well, we would still have to then come up with the rules of place, manner, and all of that, okay, which are not even clear in the ORS, which is why I'm so frustrated. Because the stuff I've read about this is that it works, especially when people with
Amazingly
PTSD.
on veterans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I want people to have the option. You're right, it's so dadgum expensive and VA ain't paying for it.
No.
So I doubt it'll happen here, but the growth could, the growing part of this could. But the rules are not tight enough, in my opinion, on the growers as to how this would function in a small rural town.
I don't think it's straight enough on the dispensaries, or however
anywhere.
you wanna call it either, because originally, like Kim was talking, I was excited about it when they started talking about it.
Remember?
Because, they were talking, this is a therapeutic thing, it was supposed to be done in a clinical setting with a medical professional and somebody there to help you guide through. No, what they're doing is they have a barely qualified nurse in there, they boo-hoo bucks, but they stick everybody in a room, say, here's some mushrooms. I mean, this is why, and that's really how they're regulating. If somebody has a bad freakout, what do you do? And so they haven't regulated that enough, in my mind, to really harness the therapeutic benefits of it as it has been demonstrated to be able to be done. I'm disappointed that the state of Oregon hasn't honed this down more. I don't know why they've chosen to ignore it. Maybe they've been too busy with other things. But at the same time, psilocybins are one of those things that if it's overused, it can kill somebody. So,
I believe in the Samaritan Health System inland that it's some of the psychiatrists or psychologists offices that are going and getting licensed to have that therapeutic location. And so that kind of feeds with Council President Bush's comment that it's not likely that we will see the administration here, but what we would do in a land use regulation is basically what I did with medical marijuana. The 6 different types of facilities, what zones can you?
But it just seems like that what's before us tonight as councils, the option 1 would be the best option, and that puts the moratorium forward a couple more years, see what happens. And then we'll have a better idea.
I'm not making a judgment call. What's the best option, Counselor?
Oh, I know, you're not. I'm reading through what.
I'm just providing the three options and it's up to you guys to decide.
Just push it ahead 2 more years, see what happens. If they clarify things, seems like about the best option for us tonight.
That's
Actually,
totally the council's decision.
I actually disagree with that, and here's my reasoning. You know, one thing we're always talking about is we want other businesses to be able to come to Toledo and flourish and do this and that. What if we have some clinical psychiatrist that says, hey, you know, the Oregon Coast is absolutely the best place. I would love to go to Toledo and create this world-class clinic where I'm doing microdosing and they're doing it right. Not only would that benefit our community, say maybe our residents can't afford it, but it's gonna benefit our community by the tourism and by the opportunities that it does offer. So we know it works. I mean, it has been clinically proven to work. So our original reason for denying it was because they didn't have the safety rules in place.
They still don't.
Well, they still don't, you're right,
They're still got their head up there.
But at the same time,
They've got lots of rules.
they have lots of rules and there are some places that they are doing it and it is working successfully. So why not let that be an opportunity here? I think in my mind, I would like us to and do the land use zones and maybe put a few other provisions of our own in there.
Yeah, so that would give Mike another 10 years worth of work to do.
And you know what, we love that, I'm
Instead of
sure.
waiting for the state to come back and let's do the work.
Folks,
Yeah.
Jackie has been very patient down
I
here.
have, haven't I?
Yes, you have.
Okay, so. So if there's no regulation, what's the problem? That's what I'm not seeing.
Okay, so the issue, okay, number one, how Tracy was talking about how some places are doing this, right? They're
Yes.
just dosing folks, throwing them in a ring, have fun, okay? But the serious ones, they're actually getting good results, especially on PTSD with veterans, okay? So I have a soft spot for that. They still haven't figured out the manufacturer side of which is part of this bill, which is part of what the moratorium was about, both ends of this, the growth and the administration. And I hear what you're saying, Tracy, I really do, because I've read the same stuff. It is working. But I've also been in contact with enough people in the Portland area to know that it's not working in any way, shape, or form the way they envisioned it to, and they have no idea how they're gonna move forward.
And what do you mean by that? It's not working.
Okay, because part of what this was supposed to allow you to do was, if you wanted to be a grower, they were gonna have a system in place. This is how you do it so that you're under a controlled environment, so that you're not selling out the back door. Okay, and there's an actual, you know, for lack of a better word, a real pipeline.
It's all traceable.
Right, every step is marked,
Everything.
checked, everything. So, you know, you're not, for lack of a better word, legitimizing somebody who's selling it out the back door. It's not working.
Okay.
And that's my biggest fear is I just look at fentanyl, I look at all the other things that are floating around. I don't particularly want to add another type of drug we've got to figure out how to keep under control. I'm just being honest.
I was gonna say. It's already available.
I
It's
know.
the quantity
Thank you.
that would become
Exactly,
available.
exactly. And
Or
that's
could.
right, because if somebody has growing here and they were able to do some on the side, the use around here would go through the roof.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Like a problem then is what you.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
If we let the moratorium
Labs, right.
Don't they still have to come to the city to get a business license and OLCC, so we can still prevent
Sort of.
anybody from doing stuff?
Yes and no.
My only reasoning being is we're about to send the voters a big packet for our charter that they're gonna have to approve. And then we're gonna throw the
Oh,
suicide one out.
I know, yeah. No, I get, that's why I'm pouring on all this, right? I understand
where I'm at.
both sides of this.
If we have a moratorium and then nothing can happen.
Yeah, it just gets clarified.
If we let the
And it'll
moratorium
be a whole lot
lapse.
better in those 2 years
Oh, I get that, and I agree.
Yeah,
No,
and
I
so.
deal with a lot of veterans who
Why
do this
worry about it?
microdosing,
Yes.
and it's a difference
So-
between one guy freaking out and going out and whacking people, or sitting there and going out to dinner with his wife.
Yeah.
But there has to be rules, there has to be,
Yeah, thank you.
otherwise the overusage is gonna be, well, fentanyl, like you said, but I just don't see how letting a moratorium lapse is gonna change anything, because, I mean, nobody really knows much about it anymore.
If the moratorium lapses, then there are no rules in place.
And it could
And
go
if
into
you
chaos.
remember, shush, hush, I'm trying to finish what I was saying earlier when you interrupted
You
me.
ought to know better, Stu.
All right, okay. I
If
know
there
we've
is
gotten a little
no
while.
moratorium, it's open territory. When the marijuana in Lincoln County, the moratorium expired,
Mhm.
what happened?
I wasn't here.
Oh, there were a few businesses that decided to just move in and open before the rules were made, and then it was a pain in the ass to get rid of them. And the county put up with them for a long time. Do you want that to happen?
Well,
with
that's what I'm getting.
Mushroom growers?
Coming to us for licenses too, right? I mean, I'm
Or
torn
provider?
between 1 and 2 because I definitely don't want 3, but 1 and 2, I'm torn between.
Right,
Mike.
Mayor,
2 quick questions. One,
me too. I was sorry, I
did
was
the county ban it?
administrative rules. Did our county ban it?
Yes.
I don't believe so.
no,
Okay, so are they doing a moratorium?
This time?
Did they do, in other words, did they do a moratorium or did they ban it or did they just let it open?
I think they just let it open, is my recollection.
Okay. So in the 2 years, in the 2 years that it's been, for lack of a better word, since we did our moratorium, if the county has had it open the whole time
yeah.
and nothing's happened,
That's what I was saying. I don't. think
That's what I was getting at. I mean,
okay, well, that's why I need to ask that question.
Mhm.
Because that's not what happened with marijuana. You're
That's
absolutely right. I mean,
And
yeah, well,
I
I
didn't
wanted
know,
to take the Alala store one to open up after the county said, okay, what was that? 72 hours?
yeah.
Yeah. So. You know, you have a good point. But if the county hasn't had the moratorium and they're not having any issues either way, I'm not
We
saying.
probably won't either.
I'm not saying I could trust the state to do their job, but I think we could then deal with things on a case by case basis and work towards, you know, safeguards for us.
I agree.
And there's nothing saying that if it looks like we're going to have some problems down the road,
Not-
We readdress it.
that we readdress it.
and we can, at that point, we could do a brand new resolution or moratorium. or
But you know,
whatever.
my concern, right, with the weather and being able to
Well, the
grow, it, well, if the
moratorium
county
is
hasn't
the
had that
kind of
issue
thing.
yet. Then I'm playing the what ifs again.
It's so restricted on who can do anything.
Well, and that's the thing, psilocybin, so marijuana, you can grow personally, it's legal to grow personally and blah, 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 blah. The dispensaries really just made it safer, because you know, it used to be people that used it before it became legal. You were risking
Uh-oh.
getting something that was like.
About the slideshow, folks, hang on.
Yeah. Yeah, you're about to see who,
Oh.
who banned and who didn't.
Oh, interesting.
So the green is no opt-out
Okay,
and the red is opted out in the 2022.
so we're the only ones that opted out?
In Lincoln County.
Yeah, in Lincoln County.
Okay. Well, that answered the question.
No, I don't think that's right, because the Lincoln County Sweet Home opted out.
Anyway, to finish what I was saying, the reason psilocybins are different than marijuana is because psilocybins are not legal even without a dispensary. It's not legal to grow on your own or use on your own. It would be like. So that's, I think that's why we're not seeing it, because they have to have the rules in place, and if they're not there, people can't exactly move forward with it. And
Why are they having so many problems with it?
And I can tell you right now, it is not easy to grow mushrooms. I've talked to plenty of mushroom growers across the country, and it is a pain in the booty. And if you get one bad thing, the whole thing is toast. So you're not gonna see a pop-up of a bunch of different little growers in there, because it's not that easy. It's
All
easier
right,
to go out
so-
to a cow patty somewhere.
So I think we boiled down, I think we've actually gotten somewhere. So I would entertain a motion. Let's see where we get with that.
I would like to make a motion to go with option number 2 and let the current moratorium expire with the option of bringing it back up if problems arise.
I'll second that.
So moved by Frank, seconded by Tracy to use option number 2, let the current moratorium expire. Direct staff to let the moratorium sunset or terminate on December 31st, 2024. And to bring an ordinance back to the council approving the land use zones where psilocybin facilities will be allowed. I will take a roll call vote. Counselor Coughlin,
Yes.
Counselor Strong,
Absolutely not.
okay? Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Council President Bush,
Yes.
Counselor Mix,
Yes.
Counselor Soviet.
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries 6-1. Next item, resolution number 1557, a resolution referring to the voters a measure proposing temporary prohibition on psilocybin-related businesses and adopting a valid title and explanatory statement.
I thought we just
We just did that.
did that.
Well, then why do I have it twice on here?
Next one will be the street request.
But you didn't forget it.
Because one says,
One's a
oh,
ordinance
one's
and one's a
already done
resolution.
resolution. So we skipped the resolution because of what we decided in. Okay, that's why. Good gravy.
I'm glad you got that because I didn't either.
I didn't either. I thought it was all one.
All right, next item, motion to approve the street closure request for Art Oysters and Brews on August 3rd and 4th. Lisa?
You did, oh.
Mayor, council, in your packet is a copy of a map that has been similar to requests in previous years. It's a street closure for part of Main Street. This weekend or this year, excuse me, it will only be one weekend instead of 3 events, and it'll be the first weekend in August. It'll be Saturday and Sunday, the 3rd and 4th, and it'll be between the event will be between 12 and 5. We haven't figured out the details of when we're closing the street, if it's going to be the entire overnight or not, but we're working those details out.
Okay, I am going to declare a possible conflict of interest because I'm on the board for Art Oysters and Brews. Any comments, questions?
You don't financially benefit from our oysters and
I
brews.
know I don't, but this is called your mayor making sure that there is never any questions.
I know, and I assume that was the answer, but wanted to put it on the record,
I know,
just to protect you.
I know. It's just, especially after my last few weeks traveling around the state, I'd rather just make sure everyone knows.
Yeah, no, I understand.
As far as a comment and such on there, it's the closure of the main street for both days on such. Or how traffic flows. Because if vendors set up one day and they probably wouldn't want to take down just.
Our intent is to keep the tents up overnight with security, so it may be possible that we'll have it closed overnight as well.
Early on Saturday.
Yeah, the closure would start on Friday night, actually.
We've run into problems with people not moving their cars in the morning because they're still passed out drunk from the night before.
Yes, and I apologize that was not clear. So this closure will probably occur as early as 5 PM on Friday night, the day before. And we'll get notices up and down the street. last year, our rare person, Katie, made these signs that were really prominent and she posted them along the street posts all along that area. And it seemed to work out really well. We still had one car, but it wasn't as bad as it had been in previous years.
could we make that closing time, make it Friday night, make it the closing time of the activities that are on Main Street? Instead of 5 o'clock, which would cut in hugely into a lot of the business in that block.
Do it from last call on.
Yeah, essentially.
Would that require our staff to work more overtime though? That's what I
Not
was,
if somebody else went down to put up the damn signs.
Unless there was a volunteer that did that, you're correct.
yeah.
Well, I know historically, we've done that on Main Street, closed it off on Friday night or whatever and got the cars off. So that's, that's possible.
Yeah, but it takes 2 days.
Yeah. But it would, it would make the businesses and such on there that are there kind of participate in such too.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
And if council approves this, I will go to all the businesses and give them information about the street closure. So that way they're well aware.
And if you need somebody to hang signs, so you don't have to pay overtime, I'll do it.
Yep, you and me. We'll go hang signs.
Would you entertain a motion?
Oh, I would gladly entertain a motion.
Move to approve the street closure request for Oysters and Brews on August 3rd, 4th. Details to be worked out.
I second it.
Been moved by Tracy, seconded by Kim to approve the street closure request for Art Oysters and Brews on August 3rd and 4th with details to be worked out. Take a roll call vote. Counselor Coughlin,
Yes.
Counselor Strong,
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia,
Yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Council President Bush,
Yes.
Counselor Mix,
Yeah.
and I vote yes. Motion carries 7-0. Ordinance number 1422. An ordinance granting a non-exclusive telecommunication franchise to Astound Broadband and repealing ordinance number 1374. Mike?
Mayor, council, this is renewing our franchise with Astound Broadband. LLC, in, ordinance 1322 in 2008 approved a non-exclusive telecommunication franchise to Coastcom. Ordinance 1374 approved September 2016, granted another franchise, which increased the revenue 2%. Which was also not codified, which was also approved as an ordinance, but not codified in a specific place in our ordinances. So if you look up our ordinances online, you're not going to be able to find it. Ordinance 1380 in 2016 gave consent to the assignment of the franchise from Coastcom to Astound, and this ordinance just renews it another 5 years. I had extensive conversations with Doug and Justin, our IT person. Basically in 1996, the Federal Telecommunications Act, telecommunication franchises are capped at 7%, which is the most we can charge them for using privilege tax for using the streets and that. And it's based on the gross revenue exchange access service as provided in ORS 401-710. There was a recent Court of Appeals case, and I can't remember the name of it, but there was a question prior in 16, I had the question, but should it be at cost for Astound to perform them or fair market value costs? There's always been that argument is, you know, basically you could charge them 7%, but if you say you're gonna run, you know, you're gonna give these additional services to me, are the additional services that they're providing the public entity at cost, what it costs them, or is it full market value? You know, what level do you decrease the 7%? And really, the case law came out to say it's a marginal cost, not full value. So the city that brought that at least benefited other cities in that one way. But we built in flexibility to allow a separate trunk to service the new police dispatch center. Separate from the existing system. Or we left the flexibility that we could just integrate the police dispatch into our current trunk, which runs from the fire station. And we own the fiber and runs along runs along the other side of the street from the police department.
Okay, Mike,
Breakor. Yeah.
I just realized I didn't open the public hearing.
Oh, sorry, man.
That's all right. So at this time at 7:33, I will open the public hearing on ordinance number 1422. An ordinance granting a non-exclusive telecommunication franchise to Astound Broadband and repealing ordinance number 1374. I'm not gonna make you redo the staff report. We're recording, so it's on the record.
Right.
So we're good.
No, I would just say that the ordinance doesn't have significant substantial changes from what it was before. They've been a good partner. They're agreeing to upgrade the fire station from 100 megabits up and down to 1 gigabyte at no cost that really they weren't required to do. They're agreeing to part of the flexibility. If we decide that we want to create our own trunk, it'll be like $300 a month. For the 1 Gbps gigabyte per second on the new trunk. But the $300 a month, for example, I think we're paying, I didn't put it in the staff report. I think we're paying like $230 or $250 a month for 1/10 of that at the no, at the water plant. Out on the sleds.
Gotcha.
So I mean, I think it's good terms, and I would recommend approval.
Okay. Is there any applicant testimony? Okay. Any opponent testimony? Any other interested parties? All right, we'll close the public hearing. We may now discuss and ask questions.
I have a question. Just shoot the question. Why does it say ordinance number 1374 and declaring an emergency? What's the emergency? I'm confused on
It
those
just
words.
makes it effective immediately, right?
That's all we need.
Okay.
Yeah. When you say declare an emergency, it means it's effective immediately. It doesn't take a month to go into effect.
Gotcha.
I know my first job as an attorney, I worked in the legislature, and you put emergency clauses on anything you want effective now, and those that you don't.
That was my experience.
Okay.
Yeah, if we didn't add that, then we'd have to do it in 2 meetings.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that when I ask my kids to do the dishes. I would like you to do the dishes now and I'm declaring an emergency.
Yeah. Tell me how that works out for you, Tracy.
Yeah, I will. I'll let you know.
So one question I had, in your discussions with them, Are they ready to move forward with broadband dollars that are coming out this way to Lincoln County, to rural Lincoln County to essentially pull a lot of East Lincoln County out of the dark ages and go fiber most places, including Toledo?
I did not ask that question, Mayor, and I think there's been such a huge push on that from the state and the feds that I would.
I'm hoping, I was just wondering if they said anything.
No, they didn't.
All
I
right,
didn't ask. We were.
There was some people in town that were putting up lines and such. Was that these people or was that Spectrum?
Lines?
Yeah, up.
Just the last couple of days,
Yeah.
they said something like
Last couple of-
splicing or something like that on the side.
Like a couple week or so ago, and I didn't know if it was these people or if it was Spectrum.
so it could have been either one. Frank said the side on the signs on the side of the truck said Slice. That's a private contractor that works for all these guys. They go run and they redo lines, they put new ones up. That's
So is that a sound or is that just like a subcontractor?
Slice is a subcontractor. Yeah, you can see those guys in the valley, you can see them in Portland, and they just go wherever the work is. Right, I would entertain.
We move to adopt ordinance number 1422, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council granting a non-exclusive telecommunications franchise to Astound Broadband, fixing terms, conditions, and compensation of such franchise, repealing ordinance number 1374 and declaring an emergency. I move to adopt ordinance number 1422, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council granting a non-exclusive telecommunication franchise to
Okay.
Sorry, since you actually called the public hearing, we should probably close it.
He did.
I did.
You did,
Oh,
you did.
Oh, I missed it.
And Tracy,
Now I'm lost.
it's okay, because you gotta go back and start over. You have to read the based on testimony and evidence recorded in the public, you have to go through that whole thing, and then you make a second motion to adopt by reading title twice, and then you reread the whole.
Okay. Based.
Mike's done a good job of being really right after it.
I've tried to work on
All
that.
right.
It's a complicated ordinance that we're gonna get rid of with the charter change. Not ordinance, but
You're
charter.
doing great, Tracy, by the way.
Just do it again, Tracy, you're on, you're good.
Based on testimony and evidence received in this public hearing, I make a motion to adopt with specific changes, if any, ordinance number 1422, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council granting a non-exclusive telecommunication franchise to Astound Broadband, fixing terms, conditions, and compensation of such franchise, repealing ordinance number 1374 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 1422, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council granting a non-exclusive telecommunication franchise to Astound Broadband, fixing terms, conditions, and compensation of such franchise, repealing ordinance number 1374 and declaring an emergency.
I will second that.
It's been moved by Tracy and seconded by Frank. That based on testimony and evidence received in this public hearing, I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1422, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council granting a non-exclusive telecommunication franchise to Astound Broadband, fixing terms, conditions, and compensation of such franchise, repealing ordinance number 1374 and declaring an emergency. They've also made a second motion to read the adoption of ordinance 1422 by title twice. I will now reread the title. Ordinance number 1422, an ordinance of the Toledo City Council granting a non-exclusive telecommunication franchise to Astound Broadband, fixing terms, conditions, and compensation of such franchise, repealing ordinance 1374 and declaring an emergency. I will take a roll call vote. Counselor Kaufman?
Yes.
Counselor Strong?
Yeah.
Counselor Byrne?
Yes.
Council President Bush?
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia?
Yep.
Counselor Mix?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion carries 7-0. Next item, resolution number 1558, a resolution of the Toledo City Council authorizing the issuance and sale of one or more series of general obligation bonds in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2.65 million. Doug?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I've last week was on the phone with bond counsel and DA Davidson, the people that will be working at handling our bond. We got back with resolution. This is the beginning of the process so that we can start getting ready to go out to sell our bond. And right now, he said the interest rates are running around 4%. He thinks by the time we're going to be ready, it's probably going to be about the first of the year. Maybe a little earlier, November, December, January timeframe. He's expecting possible interest rates to be around that 4 to 4.5%. He doesn't expect us to get less than 98% of par value. He said right now the bond market's running premium, and people are actually getting, in some cases, more than 100% par value on their bond. So he said there's a chance we might even get more money than because of the bond sale. We currently have an A+ rating. We will be re-rated prior to bond issuance. But I don't think we'll have any problem. We're up on our audits. Everything's good. So, barring the information they get out of our audits and from our finance, we should maintain the same rating with no problem. So this resolution basically just kicks it off. And so we can get started in advertising and get down the process here of getting our money so that we can get to work on Ammon's tank after the first of the year.
Any questions, council?
Yes. Doug, you were saying that it would be ready before the end of the year for the bond. Doesn't the fire department bond not end until the end of the year?
The fire department bond actually ends at the what was it? It just ended at the end of June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
Department
actually,
bond ends in 4 days.
Yeah.
yeah, and actually we won't start collecting on this bond because of the sale and everything. Won't be till the 25-26 season. So our residents are going to have a year of reprieve in a way before we start the next bond.
And it's still gonna be lower than what the fire department is anyways.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. It's anticipated to be lower. Yes.
Any questions?
No, I think
I would
that's-
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that. I was encouraged that once we were able to educate our citizens, that they were able to go and vote. This makes you do the right thing, so that felt good.
I'm very happy to get started down this road.
Go ahead.
I move to adopt resolution number 1558, a resolution of the Toledo City Council authorizing the issuance and sale of one or more series of general bonds in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed I saw that. $2.65 million. Did I say that right? Is that good? Designating an authorized representative and underwriter, is an agent, authorizing appointment of paying agent and bond registrar, execution of a bond purchase agreement, publishing of a notice and related matters. Second.
Been moved by Kim, seconded by Tracy, to adopt resolution number 1558, a resolution of the Toledo City Council authorizing the issuance and sale of one or more series of obligation bonds in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2.65 million, designating an authorized representative, bond counsel, and underwriter placement agent, authorizing appointment of a paying agent and a bond registrar, execution of a bond purchase agreement, publishing of a notice, and related. I will take a roll call vote. Counselor Kaufman?
Yes.
Counselor Strong?
Yes.
Counselor Sobia?
Oh, yes.
Counselor Burns?
Yes.
Council Counselor Mix,
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yeah.
And I vote yes, motion carries 7-0. Yes. So let's take 8 minutes, recess, we'll come back.
That's like seven.
Yes, yes.
That's not legal. And it started at 4.
I know.
Like 7 different teams. I know, but this isn't real football. There's 7 teams playing 50 yards.
It's been crazy.
That's fine today. I still make sure you weren't bored.
All right.
No, I'm not bored.
Oops, one. Okay. The other one will go straight to my. Anywhere. Recording, we look like. Thank you.
All right, I'll bring it back to order. Our next item, ordinance number 1423, an ordinance providing incentives for multifamily affordable housing, creating Toledo Municipal Code, Chapter 13.44, affordable housing, and amending Toledo Municipal Code, Chapter 13.24, and declaring an emergency. Mike?
Mayor, council, this is a kind of a conglomeration of 2 different ORS sections that
Oh, hang on, stop. Okay,
public meeting.
yes. So I'm gonna open the public hearing on ordinance number 1423. An ordinance providing incentives for multifamily affordable housing, creating Toledo Municipal Code 13.44 affordable housing, and amending Toledo Municipal Code, Chapter 13.24, and declaring an emergency. Staff report.
Mayor, council, let me keep this really quick. This is a combination of 2 ORS provisions, 197A 445 and 197A 4465 that were passed, I think, as part of Governor Kotek's encourage affordable housing. I did as I did talk to Mr. Robinson today and I questioned it at the time, but I see where I did misconstrue something that needs to be changed. That I looked at the may as permissive. But it does that does need to be changed. What it does, and I think with that change, it will be 20 multifamily affordable housing structures of 20 units is what this will apply to in the future. Basically, the one statute allows you to they require 20% to be affordable housing and at 20%. So you can either pay a fee, kind of a penalty, an in lieu fee for per square foot. If you don't do the 20%, or if you do you can't require more than 20%. But if they do more than 20%, then they want it. The state law requires you delineate what percentage of SDCs you're gonna forgive based on the affordable housing to try and encourage affordable housing.
Question. So you're saying there's a fee they could pay, so if they don't do 20% affordable housing, then they have to pay a fee and they don't get their STC part of it supplemented, correct?
Yeah, yes. I believe so, counselor.
So we're telling people that, okay, you build a 20, you're using your personal money or your money that you're investing, not public money, say there's no public money involved here. And they want to build a 40-unit complex. They say they find a nice piece of property and they want to build a really high-end development where they can have a bunch of duplexes. And so we're gonna tell them that 20% of that has to be low income. Or we're gonna charge them a penalty.
Per square foot.
That just feels wrong.
It doesn't seem right.
That feels wrong. I mean, I'm fine with their.
That's what the state law laid out, that you could do that.
Could do,
It,
not that you have to do.
well, we don't have to do an ordinance at all, but the other thing that it provided was the effective date is the application, the building permit or the land use application has to be filed after this, an ordinance that a city can create is effective, right? So there's no retroactive. The ordinance exists, everything thereafter flows within.
Correct.
What it allows you to do is when you look at just at the SDC system development charges for, you look at those statutes by themselves and they're, there's the SDCs for all the sewer, stormwater, water, transportation. Once we get our parks master plan, there could be a parks SDC, but SDCs are expensive. And the idea is that everybody is paying into the system for future development, not existing maintenance. And so everybody pays their SDC share. This is the legislature basically giving an exception to affordable housing and saying they don't have to, because we want to encourage affordable housing. So there is a component of waiving SDCs. There is a component of deferring SDCs until occupancy. And then the state statute said that for those people that did not pay the in lieu fee and get penalized, but for those who at least had 20%, you can do these other incentives too. So the deferral, authorize whole or partial land use waivers and reductions, allow qualification of full or partial exemption from ad valorem taxes if they qualify under state law that defines 60% as low income, but using an 80% number. Grant density adjustments. See, what was really interesting about this whole House bill is, which was kind of crappy, the bad thing about this whole House bill is SDCs in law are not a land use decision, right? It's not something that's appealable to planning commission, LUBA. It's not a land use process. So we got the law that says SDCs, but when we're given this authority, they tied it to a land use decision. And so.
Is that legal?
Well,
I'm sorry.
The legislature did it, so until the courts say it's not
There
legal.
you go. That's why I snorted.
We deal in the gray, right?
Okay.
Of course, so what the bill did was allow you to adjust density and modification of height, floor area, there's specific requirements, design features, which those clearly are a land use decision. So my thought process was, it shouldn't be the planning commission doling out financial incentives to affordable housing. And so anything that has that's intended to be in affordable housing ideally would come before the council. You'd make a decision. It would go in as a condition of the permit of the decision for the planning committee. But there were some interesting, allows affordable housing outright if the property is owned by a public body. Zoned for commercial use to allow religious assembly use for public services or in a public land zone. So, you know, in our last meeting with Northwest Coastal Housing about the 30 units out on Olalla, there was interest in them putting a couple buildings kind of on the, what do you call it, western side of the lot. And they weren't in the initial plan and they were reluctant to do it because they'd have to go back through the land use process again. Well, if this were enacted and they did a new land use application, they wouldn't have to go through a conditional use process again. Did you have a question, Counselor?
So Mike,
Yeah,
real quick question. Is there a pressing need to pass this ordinance?
no,
All right, thank you.
Yay.
Anything more from the staff report?
no,
Okay.
unless there are any questions, Mayor.
Any questions on the staff report?
Doug has his hand up.
Doug?
You know, my only question on the need, I believe we were looking at this, that if you are entertaining a future thought of any waiving of SDC fees to the Olalla Meadows project, this ordinance would have to be in place prior to those permits being applied for. If we don't, we can't retroactively go back. That was clear in the law. So
That's true.
its need is based on that, if that's a direction you want to take.
It's just related to all of Meadows.
So that brings me to now I'm gonna take back my question and ask it in a different way. Can we have an ordinance that just addresses the large scale complexes? Because here, and follow my thought process here. Number one, I could tell by the gas and glassy-eyed stares of most of my counselors, they haven't been living the housing crap like I have for the last 5 years. So all the little phrases in the code, in the ORS, in the legislative stuff, I understand. But I'm betting everything I got in my pockets that this council doesn't know all those terms and what they all mean.
I agree so.
And how that all works together. So I would rather, if we could, unless there is a pressing need, I would rather we take this to the 24th and make it the bulk of the work session. And
Yeah.
do an entire thing. And I'm willing to give the presentation if you want on housing and what these things all mean and how this all works. For lack of a better word, out in the real world, not just on a piece of paper with
Thank God.
well, because I'll be honest, 5 years ago, I was in the same boat you were. But I've been thrown into the deep end on it and I understand it now. And there are things in here that I didn't agree with and we were going to talk about those. But I think we need to have a baseline of understanding of what all this is before we even consider trying to do stuff.
I would like to take my can down the road, but at the same time, we have Mr. Robinson in here. And I would like to hear from him.
Oh, no, I'm gonna hear.
Yeah.
This is just
Okay.
in
All right.
staff report. I
Okay.
still have the rest of this public hearing
Okay, good.
process.
And I've talked to, I talked to Mr. Robinson at length today.
Well, I appreciate his knowledge because he's actually doing this. and
So,
this.
We've
and
ended
I'm
the
not-
staff report.
Okay.
Okay. Applicant testimony, which would just be the city again, and we're done there. Opponent testimony, anyone opposed to this ordinance as it is currently written? Oh, Mr. Robinson, would you please step up?
Thank you.
If you want to push this back, I was have to abstain because I was dumbfounded. I don't know anything.
Well, I had to dig through it to find it, and I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
All right, that's right.
It's a lot of fun.
One way to put it.
It's a
I
lot.
really appreciated your written testimony.
Yes.
I really, really appreciate that.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, this is, let's see, woke up at 4 a.m. this morning, went to bed last night at midnight. The night before was like 4:30 a.m. So when I read this, it was laying heavy on my heart, as you can imagine. And so I just want to preface this by saying, I love the city of Toledo. You people are great. City staff has been great. I don't have an axe to grind with anybody. I'm not upset with anybody.
Right.
But when I read this, I said, this is going to shut me down.
Yeah.
This is going to shut me down. So I went about putting those numbers together to help you understand, for instance, the triplex project that I have right now, 6th and A, what it would mean if these rules as written applied to that, what we call middle housing, because it's a triplex, 3 1-bedrooms. And so that's kind of what I addressed in here, and I'll just go through this really quick so that I appreciate the fact that you got it and read it, but what I really object to was the fact that the city was mandating that every project has to have at least 20% affordable housing. And I was kind of remembering when this came out from the state and COTEC and everything, that the building community kind of got together and was grumbling, and they went, oh, yeah, this is only 20 units and under. And so the word in the building community was, okay, we'll build 19 unit communities. We'll build 18 unit communities. And the way this works pretty much, if you're going to build apartments, the apartments that you probably see, you probably don't understand them. They call them like walk-ups. So you'll see these, they're 3-story apartments. They've got a stairway in the center of them. You have 2 apartments on the bottom. You walk up the stairway, 2 more doors, walk up the stairway, 2 more. So that's 6 apartments in one box, one building. So you put 3 of those on a piece of land and you got 18. We're under 20. They don't have to be designated as affordable housing. Government's not involved other than the SDC fees. Lots of expense in building and everything. So that's why you see a lot of those buildings going up. And chances are, if you see more than them going up at one time, it could be that the developer divided the land and put 18 on this lot and 18 on the other lot. They're not together. They're in a phase. They're developed at different times, but they're all together. You go, John, there's 36 there. That should apply. Well, this is what people have to do to skirt around issues.
So I'm confused. Is the state law 3 or is the state law 20?
State law is 20.
20.
Minimum of 20.
It's written as 3.
But that's the proposed city ordinance as 3.
Well, I think I went back and looked, and I think the authority that the ORS gives
That's
us
3.
in 197A 465 5 sub B may apply only to multifamily structures containing at least 20 units. So I misread that because up in the definitions, multifamily is 3 or more units. So, so I think the ordinance needs to be clarified that multifamily is that it only applies to 20 units or more.
Yeah, because this read says 3 or more.
Right.
And so that's what I was.
Yeah. No, that's what I opened with, that I do need to clarify.
Okay. And so
So that's what I was hung up on too. And that's why I, came in the office Tuesday to talk to Doug. And he wasn't here, and then, Mike, sorry, Mike, I've talked to you today twice and still got it.
It's okay, we're all there.
So talked to Mike because I told him, I say, hey, I want to go talk to council, but I don't want to throw anybody on the bus. So hopefully you understand I'm a team player.
I know.
And so we're on the same team here. My comments really go to let's work together, let's fix this, let's not throw anybody under the bus. It's not what that's about. But anyway, back to what my comments were, let me run through this really quick. So as it was written with 3 units, if I had to have 20%, basically I'd have to lose 1 unit that'd have to be to affordable housing. And this is where we get in the weeds because like the mayor's talking about, when you start learning this jargon and these words, some of these things are really confusing and it depends on what organization defined it. And it's really weird. And as a contractor, a builder, a landlord, a developer, all the hats that I wear, I kind of have a bias. I will admit I have a bias. And my bias is I don't like the word affordable. I think the word affordable should be changed to the word subsidized. Because when you build something, we all pay the same for the labor. We all pay the same for the 2x4. We all pay the same for the roofing material. There's absolutely no way to get a better price on something because it's all set by the market.
Yep.
And so this affordability comes in, and what they're really talking about is the end user that's either purchasing that or buying that. But if your cost inputs are all the same and your labor's the same and your profit margin's the same and everything, and everybody's competing on the same level, then there really isn't any way to get quote unquote affordable. What you're doing is you're subsidizing the end cost through a grant, a government,
Right.
pot of money, something else,
Other means.
some other means. And so that's where I don't like the word affordable, but the word affordable is used in the legislature and everything else, and it's got a specific definition. But at any rate, when you go through this and you look at it, they want you to pull out the definition. One of them has got 80%, one of them's got 60%. The property, and what they want you to do is look at the income. So you go to the government and they've got a website, and I've got it right up here. Income and poverty. This is for Lincoln County. This is from the Census Bureau. I think this is from the US government. Lincoln County provides the input. So anyway, so they talk about here the median income in Lincoln County, $57,794. But then they also break the income down by family type. So they have families, 73,000, married couple families, 83,000. And then they have non-family households at 37,000. So when we start talking about affordable, right off, I'm confused because I'm like, I've got 4 numbers here from the government.
Oh, and by the way, those numbers are not adjusted from West Coast to East Coast on what gets paid.
Yeah.
Well, these are supposed to be for Lincoln County.
No, I know, but what I'm getting at is that you actually get paid more here than you do in the South or on the East Coast. So people think, and when they look at that, oh my God, everybody out there makes great money. Well,
right.
Compared to what we pay, no.
Right. So right off, there's a huge amount of confusion. And I look at this and I go, which number am I supposed to use? So I use the 57,000, the median income. And I go, well, if when we put my landlord hat on and we say, if you want to rent this place, I have requirements. One of my requirements and most landlords' requirements is that you earn 3 times the rent. That's pretty much an industry standard.
Yep.
So the only way I know to get down to how much the rent is, it's supposed to be quote unquote affordable, is to take that income and divide it by 3, and that gives me a number. And I get that number, and I think in my example, it was like 1282 or 1284, something like that. And I go, well, I know my places are going to rent for more than that because I have bills to pay, and I can't afford to rent them for less than that or I'm out of business. So then I subtract the difference and I get $166 a month. And I go, I'm going to eat $166 a month on 1 unit. How long am I going to eat that for? And I read and it says 40 years. So I go, oh, $2,000 a year times 40 years is 80 grand, not adjusted for inflation. I don't think I want to do that. So then I look around, oh, I can opt out. Love opt-outs. And I read and I dig and I say, oh, it's $23 a square foot. And I'm building a building that's just under 2,000 square feet. So that means that I have to hand over $44,000 to you folks. And I don't like that either. Because it doesn't buy me a stick of wood. doesn't pay for flooring or roofing. It doesn't do anything. It benefits the city, but it sure doesn't benefit my business.
It doesn't make you want to do any more of them.
It doesn't make me do any more. And then I'm like, how am I gonna pay for that 44,000? Oh, rent, what do I have to do? I'm gonna have to raise the rent.
Yep.
So it has this inverse effect of making housing affordable. And I'm not building affordable housing, and I'll tell you that from the word get-go. I never said I was coming here to build affordable housing. I'm building market rate workforce housing.
Right.
Okay? And I didn't bring it in, but I have a notebook about this thick where I go look at ads on what places are renting for. I could show you all these places in Toledo, and I could tell you the date and the time and how much they rent for. And that's how I set rents based on the market. The market changes all the time, goes up and down. But lately, the last 4 or 5 years, it just keeps going up and up and up because everything's expensive. So anyway, so that's kind of where I got to this, and that's why I put these numbers together so that you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. And you know, if I took that $80,000 loss, then what would you give me? And what you were going to give me is a 40% reduction in my SDC fees, which are about 14,000. So I would save 5,600. So if any of you think it's a good idea to pay 80,000 over time or 44,000 up front to save 5,600, well, come see me, because I got 5,600 in my pocket, and we'll exchange checks. Because that's just not a good deal in any business sense. So anyway, and so then I go in here and I talk about the statutes that Mike talked about, and I point out the fact that, yes, indeed, the way I read it, that it only applies to 20 housing units, so it wouldn't apply to me. And then there's also some wording in there that talks about that none of this is supposed to discourage development of housing through unreasonable cost or delay. And it's like, yeah, this is unreasonable. And so that didn't help me. And then some of this other stuff has to do with, you know, I was at the ribbon cutting for the vet Blackberry project. The mayor was there. Lots of folks were there. Beautiful project. I love it. Great execution, good construction. I mean, it's a great addition to the city of Toledo. I support all housing. So I'm not against the Veterans Project, even though I've got comments in here that are questioning, you know, how you're going to be able to help them and things like that. That's more of a standpoint of keeping the city out of any kind of trouble and trying to help them. But I support veterans. I didn't have the opportunity to serve myself, but I really feel strongly about people that did. I come from a military family. My father joined the military at age 17, had to have his mother sign. He spent 40 years in the military and retired. So I come from a military family, so I have a strong background. I appreciate those that serve and the sacrifice they gave. And so veterans are on my heart, and that's a great project. But I worry about the fact that a lot of this language and everything, especially when it comes to multifamily and affordable housing, you've got that multifamily, and there's language in there that talks about must be for rent families. I don't think there's going to be any veteran families move into Blackberry. They're all one bedroom. They're going to be single veterans. So I worry that how is that going to fit into any kind of this program, even though we can agree it's after the fact.
Well, but this program, so Blackberry is its own thing, because the Blackberry was essentially built mostly on veteran VA funds.
Right.
And you need those criteria to get those fundings. And yes, they are all one bedrooms. And it's literally for all our veterans that are left either homeless or at the end of their lives with their single wife or spouse, we'll use that word.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess where I was going with that, and the reason I brought that up is because when I became aware of this, and then that project came up at the same time, at least in my mind, I was connecting dots in a coloring book, connect the dot, and I was going, oh, and I thought the city was trying to do something for them. Obviously, it was announced that you guys put a fire hydrant in, you paved the road, so you've already done some stuff for them. And my thought was maybe you were trying to do something as far as eliminate their SDC fees or something along that nature. And I thought this might have been the mechanism to get there. And at the same time, I was feeling like I was getting thrown under the bus. And I was like, I don't think that's the intention.
No, we used a separate mechanism for that.
Okay, yeah. So you could disregard my comments as related to that then, but basically I saw some problems with that, you know, and so anyway, I don't want to belabor the point. I do like analogies and we went through some stuff tonight and I was like, that analogy I wrote was pretty good. And so my analogy kind of goes like this. Question, what does a restaurant and a soup kitchen have in common? Answer, they both provide and serve food to hungry people. But that's where the similarities end. A restaurant is a private for-profit business and a soup kitchen is a nonprofit charity. In a restaurant, the customer pays for the food they consume. In a soup kitchen, the food is paid by people other than the people consuming it. We refer to a soup kitchen as charity, not as affordable food. The food and labor in a restaurant has to be paid for by the customer along with a profit margin to enable the business to survive and even grow. The food and labor in a soup kitchen is donated or subsidized by other people. Funding for the soup kitchen can come from other nonprofits, government, private individuals, a number of places. If the funding dries up, then there's no more soup kitchen. Now, you could successfully argue that soup kitchens are needed to serve people who can't afford food. And I would agree. But let's also agree that they're subsidized. The food is not free. You don't go out and find it someplace and it's just free. Somebody else has paid for it already or provided. Okay. So does the government mandate that restaurants serve affordable food to a certain segment of society? That is free food to people who cannot afford it. How would that work? Well, the government could tell a restaurant they had to sell 20% of their food to low-income people at a reduced price, forcing the restaurant to lose money. And if the restaurant didn't do that, they could financially penalize them. Likewise, the government could charge the restaurant a fee to opt out of the government scheme, a fee so exorbitant that the restaurant is forced to close. If this sounds crazy and unrealistic, please stop and think for a moment, because the way I read the ordinance as written, that is exactly what that would do to private housing developers like myself.
You made my day this morning when I got that in my email. Because remember, you and I talked, full transparency, he and I talked on Monday at the ribbon cutting for Blackberry. We talked about the proposed ordinance and we shared our quizzical looks with each other on what exactly does this mean. And that was the exact conclusion I came to, because it didn't make, I couldn't find the nexus of where people win. And because I like everybody to win, not just one side or another. And unfortunately, the way it was written, and don't worry, Mike, I argued against it with the state legislature when it came up. Okay, so for a lot of the very same reasons. It's not you. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't pencil out in any way, shape, or form. And so that's part of the reason why I want, it's not so much kicking the can down the road, but I think we all need to get up to speed on what we're trying, where do we want to get to, right? And what's the best way for the city of Toledo to get there? Because I'll be honest, the way the thing is written out of the legislature, I don't know how it can ever work by the way the statute's written. I don't know. I think we can do a better job. I think we can do a better job of taking into account our own needs and our own desires and the people who live and work here and making something work. And so that's what I'm hoping us to get to, but we've all got to get at least a baseline of knowledge on the same page to get there. So, thank you.
Yeah, and
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I
appreciate the comments.
Yeah, no, and
Conversation.
when we went through all that housing stuff and the forward looking, and I tried to get involved with that. So I guess I'm offering again, I'm a resource and I'm in this every day. And so if you have questions, if you need somebody to pick their brain, if you just want to get an idea, I'm your guy, I'll help you. Because, if I help you, you help me, it helps the community and, everybody wins. And so like the mayor said, I'm in for a win-win here and I don't have an axe to grind, and hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from. So appreciate your time and appreciate the help and everything
I
else.
have one more question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have a completion date in mind do you have some forecasted completion date for your triplex?
We're thinking October. We're gonna get the roof on, I think, Monday. And so then we got to get the siding, electrical, all the stuff inside. So we're doing all right now. So we're thinking October. sometime around there
Thanks.
would be good, so.
Well, unfortunately, that's the game of construction. Sometimes you have to wait for permits and you have to wait for contractors to be available and.
So contracts.
So it's a long game. Again, that's part of the other thing besides the whole multifamily and understanding that is understanding the cycle. So I looked back through my paperwork and I actually bought that property June 2 years ago.
Wow.
We were held up 7 weeks for the Lincoln County building permit. I was held up 5 months with the telephone company with a buried line that they told me I could not dig up, that they didn't know what they were going to do with. They were dragging their feet. 5 months. I had a sewer line from a neighbor's property. I had to personally pay to have it removed. So there's a lot of obstacles to this development. It's not easy. You don't just see stuff up. People stop by and they go, yeah, we saw the concrete and it was sitting here for a long time. And what happened, you know, and they don't understand. I wanted this project to be done in a year and here we are year 2 and we're still working on it because there's things you come up with. Every day is a new opportunity and you got to slay that dragon and move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Is there any other testimony on this? All right, so Lisa, I'm going to close the public hearing at 8:31.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, any discussion, council?
Move this to, is that
Part of the discussion.
I personally would feel more comfortable getting more knowledge because I'm pretty stupid at all this. I was gonna abstain if we were voting tonight. I was gonna abstain.
Uninformed is the proper terminology.
So, yeah,
Not yet,
I would
like.
rather push it off because
Second statement.
As far as doing this and such on there, we still have to come back with something that is in line with what the state is saying as far as doing something with the SEDs and developers.
I don't,
SDCs.
Or what?
SDCs.
Oh, sorry.
It's
in one way and they're trying to put together. So go ahead.
they're trying to confuse you.
Yeah. Yeah.
To the left, they're trying to confuse you.
It happens a lot here.
You're left.
It's okay.
The one statute as far as the zoning and that is right?
Yeah.
But the other one, as far as the waiving, deferring SDCs and other incentives, it's allowing us to do that. We don't have to do it.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is if somebody came and said, hey, I want to put in a neighborhood, 20 houses or 16 houses, whatever, and they were going to be workforce houses, not this, and we could negotiate the fees with them if we pass something like this. So we didn't have to all be affordable housing. It could be a new neighborhood or whatever.
So this is exactly why I need to have this meeting to get everybody up to speed.
Yeah.
Is because of those questions right there.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
my question to Mike is this. Could we have on, was it the, well, on the 24th, I already mentioned that. I'm looking at, so remember you said for like a Lala coming up or something like that.
Yeah.
Do we need to do something right away, like in the next month? So that we can deal with the Lala? Are they under a time constraint?
In part, it depends on. I talked to Sheila and in part it depends on what they decide to do. I told her about it's city-owned land, so you wouldn't have to, you know, with the long-term lease, so you wouldn't have to, basically, they have the option to go under the way that the application that they've submitted and they're staffing through the state for funding. Or if an ordinance were in effect, they could submit a new application. Which would allow them to do the two buildings. And would,
Well, so here's
allow
what,
you to defer the.
here's what I'm thinking,
SDCs.
okay? If we have to have something in
Waive
place
some of them.
that gives the city council authority to do whatever that needs to be done with Olala as you guys talk about this. Can we have that on the 17th and it would just be a focused, whether that's resolution or ordinance, however that would work. And then come back on the 24th to look at the broader picture of housing. Because that's why I'm wondering if this is an emergency or is it, can the big package here, can it wait until August? And if not, can we do a limited ordinance / resolution so that Olala Meadows can continue down the path? Does that
Mayor,
make sense? Yes, sir.
Mayor, so Olala Meadows is gonna be on our time frame because of the infrastructure money.
And that's what I was
That's
thinking,
good
Doug,
point.
and that's why I'm curious as to why we would have to have something in place right now.
That's good.
No.
Yeah,
Because I think with the bill that we got the infrastructure money to do that, puts us on the state's timeline, not ours. Am I correct?
It puts us on, well, their timeline starts after we're done.
That's what I mean,
yeah.
right?
Right.
Because this money from the state puts us on a state set timeline, not a city set timeline.
Correct.
Okay.
And that timeline starts when we actually when the funds get dispersed, and
Right.
that has not happened yet.
Okay.
Until we have to have in place according to the bill, the certain criteria of the bill into our lease agreement on the ground. And before we get that, once we get that, then we can get money released, and then that is when the timeline starts.
Okay. So there's not a crushing rush.
No.
Okay, so let's just plan on the 24th, having, for lack of a better word, a housing primer. Right? What do all these terms mean? What do they talk about when they talk about SDCs? What are our SDCs? What do they mean by affordable housing? Because Ron's absolutely right. There are several definitions and it depends on whose definition you go with. And there are expectations. Let's just say that when you deal with this stuff outside of the city, there's a lot of different, shall I say, definitions of terms. At least here in the city, I want us to work on one single definition of terms so that we all know what we're talking about, especially when it comes to housing. Because it is an issue. We're not going to get out of this overnight. Okay. One thing I try to keep people understanding is that since 1996, the state of Oregon has doubled its population. Doubled it. We went from 2.14 million to 4.16 million. That's a whole lot of folks. We didn't get here overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight. We got work to do. So we have consensus to move this forward?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right.
Sounds like it's unanimous.
That's why I was looking for unanimous and he spoke up. Thank you, Mike, though, because maybe this is what was needed to get us going. And I appreciate it.
Well, at least started the conversation there.
All right, next item.
The bridge to the west.
Just
All right.
right.
Yes, I know. Next item, Safe Routes to School Grant Agreement Amendment. Instead of agreement. Anyway, yeah.
There's no
Yes.
STDs in this one, right?
Oh my God. That's never gonna go away.
The grant, right?
Okay. Doug? Go to bed.
So, whoops, sorry. We, back in 2023, we got the SRTS Safe Routes to School grant. And that was to put up the signs over there on Sturtevant and for the school zone. We got the stuff purchased. It's almost finished installed. I'm sure you'll hear from the Public Works Director tonight on that. It's near completion, but it came in way under budget than what we planned. So we had a bunch of extra money. So we went back to ODOT and asked, can we amend our plan and add more lights? So that is what we did, and ODOT approved. So we have to do an amendment to the agreement. There's no additional cost to the original grant. It's just the scope of the project now that we're changing. So we're not going to be out any additional money or anything like that.
This is where we all go whoop, whoop. Mhm. Any questions, council? I would really like
I
to hear a
move
motion.
to approve the amended agreement for the Safe Routes to School grant and authorizing Mayor Cross to sign the agreement.
Second that.
It's been moved by Kim, seconded by Tracy to approve the amended agreement for the Safe Routes to School SRTS grant and authorizing Mayor Cross to sign the agreement. I will take a roll call vote. Counselor Kaufman?
Yes.
Counselor Strong?
Yes.
Counselor Sophia?
Yes.
Counselor Burns?
Yes.
For Mix?
Yes.
Council President Bush?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carries 7-0. Next item, 2024-2027 Toledo Employees Association Proposed Collective Bargaining Agreement. Doug?
You told him to go to bed.
Yeah.
I told John to go to bed.
No, you said it. I heard you. I got your back, Doug.
Yeah. So the past 6 months, we've been in negotiating with the Toledo Employees Association bargaining team. We used LGPS and Pierre Robert to help with this. And what you have attached here, you have a red line copy of so you have the original and then the red lined copy, so you can see what changes that we have agreed on. As of today, I haven't heard anything further, but the union did go ahead to agree to ratify. So they're happy with the agreement that you have before them. So it's in our court to move forward. I believe in our executive sessions, you wanted us to address issues. We believe we've addressed the longevity issues. We believe we've addressed and got a little more aggressive with salary. We pulled back on a few things, and I think we came at a good understanding between the TEA and the city, and clarifying some of the vague languages that was within it. So if you guys had a chance to go through, I entertain questions on it. The salary schedule was the one that we had talked to you guys about. We are within budget of where we're within the budget, the current budget that we passed for the next year, accommodated for this plan. So we are in budget there, and I believe it met the criteria that you gave us to work within.
Any questions, council? Any comments, council?
It seems like, you know, as far as my looking through this on there, I think sick leave thing kind of, you know, it looks like you kind of resolved that so that people, that used to be an issue in the past, so glad to see that in the.
Well, and I think we cleared up, there were some issues with, because of the new PLO laws, we had some clear violations in our past plan because of PLO laws, with the help of Amanda and Pierre. We've been able to, I think, put in the right language to address the PLO issues, which basically refers to ORS when it comes to that. So, and it changes.
Well, I want to thank you guys for, taking our, like on longevity pay and such, and actually getting them in the agreement. I appreciate, I hate to say this, probably the hundreds of hours you and Pierre spent working on this thing. Thank you very much. I think it will benefit not just the workers, not just city staff, but also the community. I think it helps to provide for a quality workforce, and thank you guys very much for that.
I think you'll also see in that longevity pay that we are, I believe, very aggressive there. If you compare to the communities our size and communities around us, our longevity pay is top notch in that area now. And salaries, I believe we came more into market range with the changes, and by additionally serving longevity with the additional steps, because we moved from up to 8 steps now, which, and our finance officer Amanda came up with a brilliant plan on looking at the steps going in between and extending those steps, which helped bring about longevity as well. And I think that was probably one of the best ideas that came out of it.
If there's no other comments,
I move to approve the 2024-2027 Toledo Employees Association collective bargaining agreement as presented, effective as of July 1st, 2024.
Second.
been moved by Tracy, seconded by Kim, to approve the 2024 to 2027 Toledo Employees Association collective bargaining agreement as presented, effective as of July 1st, 2024. We'll take a roll call vote. Counselor Kaufman.
Yes.
Counselor Strong.
Yes.
Counselor Sobia.
Yes.
Counselor Burns.
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
Counselor Mix.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you all for all your time and effort. I think it's going to pay off for everybody. Thank you. Next item, approve a human resource specialist position and salary range.
106. Just open it.
Yeah.
It's adjourned.
Oh, yeah. I'll try this method.
Technically 105.
Oh, good. Like usually I end up on some other. All right. So take it away, Amanda.
Mayor, council, this is the updated job description for the human resource specialist position. The salary range that you see associated is the previous salary range for the human resource position that was previously created years back. I have just gone through and updated the entire job description, duties, responsibilities to reflect the needs of the city.
Any questions?
How many city employees do we have now?
40, well, we have 47 positions. I can't remember how many we have filled. Around 46. This is included in our FTE, if that's what you were curious about, our FTE count for our next fiscal year. We did budget for a human resource position, and that is included in that 47.3 FTE count.
How long have we been without one? You said previous.
Ever?
Yeah, we had one
For a short.
for a short time.
Sherry.
Oh,
You ready?
it was a short time.
Yeah, we
It was a
ran
very
around.
short time. Her and I worked together a lot on a bully response.
She lived in Newport and
Very-
got transferred.
Beneficial.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
They've previously recruited for a human resource specialist, I believe, if I'm following what I've read correctly, and communications, and then also human resource and assistant city manager, and we haven't had a lot of success. This is solely a human resource position. There is a lot of need, a lot of work to do, and I'm really hoping that we can attract and retain someone.
Okay, as far as the personnel that should be over would be all of the city staff, but it wouldn't include the police and fire department, or would that she or who be incorporated into those proceedings
Yes.
also?
This would be for the entire city, all departments, human resources, yes. It would
Set up processes.
Yeah. This would help centralize a lot of,
Keep the personnel records in the central location instead of
centralize the
at the fire and
hiring,
police.
yeah.
They're not responsible for the hiring and firing. They just.
They just make sure we don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
They put the,
Big guy.
make sure the job descriptions, the i's are dotted, the t's
Yes.
are crossed before they go out.
Make sure we're in compliance, do all the recruiting, the posting, the department heads will still do their normal role, but a lot of that has all been piecemealed because we don't have anyone to do this for us, so there's inconsistencies, there's.
This will really step up our game.
Yes, very much so.
You had a pretty good description in the packet and such on, so that's, the only thing I couldn't find it. For sure, if they were gonna be in for the full of the city or not,
Yes.
such on there.
Yeah, they will serve the
Yeah.
entire city.
Okay.
I believe all the department heads are very excited to have somebody on board. It'll take a lot off of all of our plates.
Any other questions? I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the position and salary range for the human resource specialist position effective as of July 1st, 2024.
I second it.
Been moved by Frank, seconded by Kim. To approve the position and salary range for the human resource specialist position effective as of July 1st, 2024. Roll call vote, Counselor Mix.
Yeah.
Counselor Kaufman.
Yes.
Counselor Strong.
Yeah.
Counselor Burns.
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia.
Yes, sir.
And I vote yes. Motion carries 7-0. Next item, approve updated library assistant library director job description. Okay, step up, come in here. This is your job now.
So anytime the council approves a job description, if the last approved one is used, Doug can hire somebody. But anytime we make a change to the job description, it's got to come back before you.
Yep.
And is that good? That's good.
That is good.
That is good.
That is good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's your show, Harrison.
so now that we have the director seat filled in a permanent capacity, the next step is to number one, well, we'll take them one by one here. To replace the assistant director. And there has been some reworking of this position in this version you're about to see based on the next agenda item, which is planning to hire on a part-time adult program specialist. So we're kind of working those jobs around each other, which entailed making a few adjustments to the assistant director job, because some of those things in terms of purchasing and collection management are moved to or shared with the adult programs position and the model we're looking at.
Any questions, council?
Cloning is technically illegal, right?
Hunting farm animals, what are we talking about?
Oh.
Harrison, what do you identify as?
What do I
I'm
identify?
trying to figure out if we can clone you.
Oh,
Hey,
clone
human beings
cells.
are not allowed to be cloned yet.
The clones tend to be unhealthy and I've already got some genetic things.
All right, fine. Not cloning Harrison.
Cronenberg picture that comes, but I appreciate.
I'm not going down that road. I know. Okay.
It's the way I feel, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Yeah. Okay, since I'm not hearing any questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the updated job description for the assistant library director.
I second it.
Been moved by Tracy, seconded by Kim, to approve the updated job description for the assistant library director. We'll take a roll call vote. Counselor Kaufman.
Yes.
Counselor Strong.
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia.
Yes, sir.
Counselor Burns.
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
Counselor Mix.
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion carries 7-0. Next item, approve updated library adult program specialist job description. Harrison.
Yes, so this one's gonna be a new position intended as an adult programming counterpart to Denise Marsh's position as a children's specialist. We brought Denise on in 2018. She's been extraordinarily effective in her position. So we really want to put some horsepower behind adult programming as well. So this one has been rewritten to move primarily the requirement of a second language proficiency to a preferred.
So one question I have is if they have that, does that get them any more pay?
Mayor, that is a discussion that I have planned to come forward at a later time in offering for frontline people that are going to be dealing with the public, probably some sort of a stipend or certificate or whatever as we do for those that have that can test off those credentials.
Thank you, Doug, because, and I know you couldn't see this because your view is to the back of the staff that's at the table. And as you started talking, it was like watching the bobblehead dolls back in the day. They're all going, You guys are great.
I think I just got referred to as bobblehead doll.
Yes, you did. Three words. Yeah. Come on, you were in the military just like me. You know, there are a lot of other things that we could have said at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Any questions? All right, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve the updated job description for the library adult program specialist.
I second it.
It's been,
Did I do that one? No.
it's been moved by Tracy, seconded by Kim to approve the updated job description for the library adult program specialist. I will take a roll call vote. Counselor Kaufman.
Yes.
Counselor Strong.
Yes.
Counselor Sylvia.
Yes.
Counselor Burns.
Yes.
Council President Bush.
Yes.
Counselor Mix.
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion carries 7-0. Reports and comments, Lisa.
Really quick, Mayor and Council. This Saturday is Chalk the Block from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. right outside. There'll be lots of fun and activities, cash prizes. You can join solo or you can join with the family and group. Stick figures are acceptable. It's your interpretation of art, so. Next week, on Wednesday, July 3rd at 10 a.m., there will be a mural dedication for the tactile sensory mural in front of the Toledo Public Library. Come one, come all. Want you there. There we actually have golden scissors and a red ribbon. It's the little things that matter.
It really is.
But the sensory, the tactile mural is really cool. It's pretty neat. Emma Berger, the muralist from Portland, did a pretty good job, and we're looking at maybe adding to the mural, some other components in the future.
Good.
Just a reminder, Art Oysters and Brews, one weekend this year, August 3rd and 4th. If you haven't experienced it yet, we are still looking for volunteers, so I'll let you know. And also too, it is officially election season and we have 3 seats up for grabs this year. Well, 3 counselors and the mayor's seat. Currently, let me see, we have
Every 2 years,
Counselor.
mayors and representatives are the most accountable elected people in the country.
Counselor Mix, Counselor Kaufman, and Counselor Strom. And the deadline to file your paperwork is August 15th. And there's 2 ways to file. You can either file by fee or file by petition. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. And then I may be taking this thunder away from Doug again, but I just wanted to remind everybody that City Hall hours are changing effective July 1.
So next week.
Sorry, Doug.
Will you reiterate what
You
those are
read the
again?
budget. You know we can't afford that.
Wednesday through Thursday, they're 8 AM to 4 PM, and then Friday, 8 AM to 12 PM. And then last but not least, I will be sending you an email with links to the LOC conference details. So that way, if you're on the fence about whether or not you're going to join, you can look at it. And then registration opens on July 24th, and I will be able to register you. I already have you.
You have a month before registration.
Yes,
Right.
yes. However, once registration day opens, it's like running with the bulls. Seriously, I mean, it's crazy. So
Are you gonna be here tomorrow?
yeah,
Okay, I've got to go through a whole bunch of logistical stuff concerning that with you, so.
I do have a city charter review committee meeting tomorrow.
Yep, that's true. Could it come in early?
Yes.
Okay.
In past years, it seems like the city did something for the summer festival. We threw out popcorn or something.
It's been hit or miss. I need to reach out to them because I've been asked by another counselor who wants to have a booth. So yeah, and then part of the parade as well.
Whatever.
So someone here has to take up the mantle of throwing candy. Because I have to be at my Oregon Mayor's Association.
You have to throw it underhand.
Don't worry, you don't want to throw it overhanded. Because it gets thrown too hard then.
That's what I mean, you have
You
to
have to
throw
get
it
it away from the
underhand.
wheels of the vehicles.
Well, it depends on who you're aiming at, whether or not you want to hit.
No, you can't hit them.
Okay, in any event. Harrison,
Yes.
what do we got in the Scully cap today?
As of end of day today, we have 162 signups for the summer reading program. The summer total for last year was 215. So we're 53 signups short of breaking even, and it's not even the end of June yet. So we're on a good pace. So come get signed up and, you read your 10 books. You little ones get the t-shirt and adults get their pick of the adult t-shirt or a very nice tote bag this year.
Cool.
Our first performer for summer reading comes tomorrow at 10:30. That's Alex Zerby, the Zaniac. We've had him before. He's kind of difficult to classify. He does comedy, he does juggling, he does music, he does all kinds of stuff. He's
An eclectic performer.
yes, he's incredible. And so you can check out the website and the flyers we got around for the full schedule of events there. As Lisa said, we've got the mural ribbon cutting coming up on the 3rd. And if you've got preschoolers in your life, Denise will be doing the story time that morning immediately following, involving the mural. I don't know if anyone knows this, but apparently a couple of people soon.
Who will?
We will.
Oh.
Between the two of us,
Yes.
said, Mike. Hi. So there you go.
All right. Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
So what are your summer hours again?
Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
10 to 5.
Yeah.
So would I be able to bring the children's rock park mural to the ribbon cutting and let the kids on it there too? I just like all the opportunities possible
Yeah,
for the
that
kids
should be
to
a,
draw on it.
yeah. Yeah, if you've got your background already done, that's a
They're
perfect
done.
thing. Yeah.
Completely. done.
So are you gonna do that on Saturday for
Yeah,
chocolate
chocolate
block?
block.
Okay,
I'll have my
perfect.
murals. I can take it the next weekend to the library and then we'll take it to Oysters and Brews.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Harrison?
No, I just want to thank you for stepping in and taking care of business and doing such a great job of making the transition so smooth.
Thank
Done a
you.
great job.
Yep.
It's not always easy to do.
Likewise, we've got a really good team and we've got a lot of support and with that mural going in and all the landscaping around it, we have our almost frighteningly fast and thorough public works team.
Right.
And everyone has been great.
Not sure about him. He doesn't appreciate my jokes.
Not perfect. People cannot drive by it. Yeah, thank you. It's the map.
There you go. All right, you can pull your hat up a little bit back there, Brian. Come on, your turn.
We did them in.
Finally.
Come on,
Okay.
yeah. I'm sorry, you're still awake. Come on.
I saw them both yawning back there.
Oh, it's been a long.
It's so bad.
Well, we have our Safe Routes School signage, the forms put in place. They'll be pouring, I believe it's Friday. There's 8-foot holes. So they're more like pillars, 8 foot by 2 feet wide with a 1-inch rebar reinforcement. Then there'll be a sonotube on top and then the actual signage. Signage will flash during certain hours of the day during school zone or in the school zone. And it'll also show radar, the speed area. They got designated with,
It's the ones in
um,
the city.
cameras. It does not, to my knowledge, does not have a camera on it. But it'll be regulated by the city of Toledo, maintained by the city of Toledo in accordance with the school district and the elementary school, what they, for the time that they want the lights to be flashing and the
Can we lie about?
radar displayed. And then potentially with the extra money and we can allot it for a second set of safe route to school type illuminated signage that will be, I think at this juncture from East Slope Park across Southeast 10th Street to the sidewalk that takes the kids to Sturdivant.
Great.
Our guys are still diligently cleaning up. Aftermath of the storm, we've got some contractors coming in to assist with it. Just the everyday hubbub. Busy with that.
And for those of you that don't know, contractors will be paid for by federal dollars. We don't have that on the.
Right.
FEMA told us that if we're having issues get things buttoned up, that we should contract things out. So we'll follow in their lead and gonna do it that way.
I like that.
Various low-lying limbs and whatnot on certain roadways around town and do what we can to get things nipped.
Yep. Any questions for Brian?
Yeah.
When's First Street starting?
July 1, we had a setback because of some parts. But July 1, they'll be getting the logistics things figured out, things set up, and I believe they'll be actually breaking ground by July 8th. Notifications went out to the folks in the area. I walked around, hung door hangers, talked to anybody that I could. I think the folks in that area are ready. Beyond ready. They're also thankful. Most of them are very understanding. Now just hopefully their vehicles will be off of Southeast First Street.
Well, I'm glad for the delay though. And I know this sounds terrible, but we ended up having to move a friend down to 8th Street and it was my boys that had to do it because the rest of us had to work. And so we were really glad that we didn't have the road closures at that time. So. that was,
Small favors.
yes, that was like, the silver lining of the delay, but,
No, it'd be a great upgrade. And like I said, I know the folks in that area, they'll be super stoked. The road will be, have a facelift, be a smooth service.
and it's scary to drive over that, and you were, is it gonna go out on me right now, or, am I gonna
No.
get past it?
Nothing should be going out on you right now.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Any other questions for Brian? Good job. Keep it up.
Got a great staff.
Mike?
Thank you for dealing with me under the weather. I think I have a list of things to accomplish.
In regards to the 24th, if you want me to put some stuff together on that, I will.
Yeah.
So just let me know.
Yeah, no, I will be talking to you also. Doug called me and then I called Mark Williamson at CIS. And I don't know. They settled the lawsuit, WE initials.
Just being told to us in executive session.
Not necessarily.
That's public record.
That,
No, because settlement makes it public.
yeah, they're gonna sign they haven't signed the document yet, but they've agreed to it. And so it'll be public and that one will be resolved.
I hope there's non-disclosures in there.
That's the stuff we would need to hear in executive.
Yeah.
Okay, but the fact that it's settled, that can be said in public. Any other questions for Mike? Amanda?
Busy, I would say not a lot going on, but a lot going on. It's fiscal year end, so we're just wrapping everything up. Hard at work finalizing everything. Getting budget, everything done so we can file everything with the state, and then we're kicking off our conversion project right now with our project manager, so.
Good.
Keeping going. And I will be at Chalk the Block on Saturday. It's my first time, so I
Oh,
have no idea what you need me for, but I'm there all day to help.
you need to make Wade do a chalk drawing.
Chalk outline on there. There you go.
No, we don't want to tell her to make Wade the chalk outline. Come on.
Oh.
I can.
Brian?
We have so much going on. I forgot to mention several things and I'll bring them up. We're working on a water modeling to improve the flow and whatnot to the potential building spot for Lala Meadows. Increase flow for the gallons per minute, whatnot for fire flow, for also the water pressure. It'd be a looping. If it ends up happening, could potentially be a boring underneath the slough, or a potential of actually utilizing the railroad trestle with understanding and an agreement with the railroad letting us use their trestle, and also an easement through Georgia Pacific's property. So that would be good. We also, I have reached out to the engineers and have started the ball rolling to get the Ammon tank stuff going. So, and there's various other things. So I'm scattered more so than normal because my brain is fried.
Yep. Doug, how's that river?
Well, Hood River, hey, we had a nice dinner cruise yesterday that I gotta say, it wasn't windy out on the Columbia, so I couldn't believe it.
What?
Wow.
Especially at Hood River.
Who'd you brought?
I know, I'm used to seeing whitecaps and I thought I would be puking off the side, and that didn't happen, thankfully. So, in fact, nobody got sick, so that was a good thing. Yeah, but it's been a good conference. The OCCMA conference has been good. There's been a lot of CIS was here talking about a bunch of case law and stuff like that that's been coming down, keeping our eyes on. I'll probably touch with Mike when we get back and on some of that stuff. The biggest thing coming forward, I like it that I go last because these department heads, they take all my stuff. So, the only thing really going forward is the bond. I'm gonna start working pretty hard with Lisa and Amanda and Mike, and we'll probably be forging ahead getting the bond all situated and going now that we passed the resolution. And working with bond counsel DA Davidson and hopefully get this put together so we can get it out in a timely manner. And our goal is to get our money in the bank before the first of the year so we can start going. So I am gonna have to have a sit down with you guys sometime, probably in one of the work sessions coming up. LOC just put out their legislative survey. And so I need to sit down with council and staff as a team and kind of figure out, we got to rank our top 5 priorities to send into the LOC so that they kind of put that they use this to gauge what goes on their radar and what what the cities are wanting and to go after. The other week coming forward on the 17th, I'll have a grant for the DLCD, DLDC CD, DC. Well, anyway, land.
LCD, yes.
Yeah. For subdivisions and partitions, we did get that grant. I believe it's for $21,500. And so I just got the paperwork on that today. So we'll be bringing that forward for signature and approval and getting started on the land use laws there and updating. Update on the memorial bathrooms. So insurance reached out, semi-settled with us, and then I brought up some issues. So we're going back to the drawing board on some things. They did send one check already. We're holding on to it because I think and then I think I've convinced them that they've got an error, and so we're gonna see what that looks like because the company that came out and looked at it they gave us a substantial damage, but they didn't total the building. Basically, they said about 2/3 of the men's room's fine, and we lost the ladies' room. So that's how they based their payment or their loss. Unfortunately, because of code, or I guess maybe fortunately because of code, that building was grandfathered in, and now we have to meet floodplain codes. So it's either we're gonna have to raise that building probably close to 8 feet, or we're gonna have to flood proof it. So they're going back to the drawing board to figure out what that's going to be looking like. So we expect there's going to be a big change in that settlement with the insurance there. So that's kind of good news, but kind of bad news because I still can't tear the dang thing down until I get more from them. And that's about all I got. Thank you.
Any questions for Doug? All right. Council comments. I'll start with Tracy.
I've been doing a lot of city council business. I've been out a lot, having a lot of health issues. Not sure I'm gonna run for my seat again. I've got some significant decisions to make here, depending on what we find on my health. So yeah, I'll let you guys know as soon as I know. Go from there. I enjoy the council. It's been very rewarding. I'm just not sure I'm able to devote as much time to it as I would like to. And that's not fair to our citizens. So, but yeah, just so you guys know, I'm on the fence about that already. But we'll move on from there. That's really all. I don't have anything else that would be council business. Yeah.
Jackie?
Nothing for me.
Stu?
I'd have to say that I had somebody come in and visit at the store, and they said that there was maybe some problems coming back on the 10th Street encampment, and if we could take a look at.
So they're back into it, is that what you're saying?
That's what they said. They
Okay,
said
that's
if I
what I
bring
need
it
to
up, could bring it up to the city, and we could maybe take a look at that.
Yep,
Other than that,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
you talk to you too?
no, but I live there.
Maybe they were talking about your place.
No, I don't think they're talking about my place. That is it? Okay. Frank?
Oh, see tomorrow, just a reminder for people if you're available. Full commission CWAC meeting for everybody's gonna be across the street. I gotta get in my calendar to tell you what time. 3:30 to 5. For some strange, stupid reason, they never had the East Junction of 20 on their radar to fix.
What?
I swear, I brought it up to them and everyone's like, what? Over by Dairy Queen? I'm like, no, that's the West Junction.
You've got,
This is the East Junction. So the only thing they have down for working is 101 Beverly Beach road stabilization and then evacuation routes and messaging.
tell you what, how about they hop in my car with me and we'll go come off.
Oh, Justin, I need to go and see that because it's a huge divot. It fills with water. So now it's finally on the radar again.
It's just the way out. I'm talking about the way in when you
Yeah.
get to go.
Yeah, the whole, everything,
It's bad, but
Yeah,
for
it's
some
thinking.
reason, they didn't have it on their scope to fix.
I mean, from the bank
They were
over,
out there.
that's already
Never mind, never mind, never mind. I gotta reel myself back in.
Yeah.
Doug,
I just wanted to throw something in when he brought up CWAC and inviting everybody. Just make sure that if you are going, please let Lisa know so that she can advertise if we're gonna have more than a quorum there. So
Oh, yeah.
please let her know if you're gonna go.
I will be there from 3:30 to 4, because I've got to get back for another Zoom meeting.
I'll be there for the full meeting.
Merrill camp, I can't be there. I'm gonna be at work.
I'll be at work.
So I'm like a forum, so that's perfect.
Work and then get ready for the big presidential day.
Just you and me.
Yep, no, that's good.
All right.
Other than that, I don't think I really have anything.
Becky,
Nothing.
Council President Bush.
The block, the kids murals will be there, the bubbles will be there, the fun people will be there. Well, Lisa won't be there. We gotta let her off once in a while. And, I just was invited to be a mural artist at the Visual Arts Center. Super excited about that. Yeah, like, super flattered. And yeah, I'm just, it's like murals all summer, murals. It's a lot. And yeah, I've been working full-time the last 2 weeks and I don't normally work full-time, so I'm like barely functioning right now, but it's so much fun. The kids are awesome. It's all teens doing murals. I'm just.
These are all safe.
Yeah.
You're not paying the rocks, Stu.
It's actually through
I saw some
Samaritan.
of those in Seattle.
Samaritan Hospital has an arts care program. And it's improving people's lives through art through the hospital program. So they got this phenomenal grant for 2 weeks of a week each for teen mural camps. And they are actually paying the teens a stipend to be there. So the teens are making $500 a week to produce murals for the hospital. So last week were individual canvases put together in 10, they're 2 foot by 2 foot canvases. And there's 10 of them, so 5 across, double. And they're going above doorways at the educational center in Newport. And above the 3 conference rooms, and those just came out phenomenally. And this week, we're in Lincoln City doing a Connex box at the hospital where the employees walk past and eat at the picnic table, and they're doing all 4 sides, and they came up with this fabulous, I told them about the Devil's Lake monster and the story. And so they were very inspired by that. So they came up with an octopus taking down a cargo container ship and made a story about it on the 4 sides. And when it's done, I have to show it to you because it's just like phenomenal. So yeah, it's just a blast. But
Like a visual storyboard.
yeah, like one side is the octopus just coming up like from the bottom of the Connex box, and then the shipping containers, like ship is way, way back in the background, and there's like mountains and trees and a sunset and everything. And then you wrap around to the other side and it's taking the ship down. And there's boxes, you know, coming off the container ship and going into the ocean. And then one end of the box is a shipping box with like all the stickers on it, like the travel stickers. And all the kids are doing their own individual travel stickers. And the other end of the box is like trompe l'oeil, like you're looking into the shipping container and you can see the boxes stacked up, and it's like, it's precious. Like, it's so cute. So anyway, I'm exhausted, but it's been so much fun. Oh my gosh. It's a blast.
Like they're reliving the old mortuary tales.
Yeah, I don't know, it's cute. It's so cute. That's fun.
Well, I don't have anything quite as fun as you had. But
Sorry.
I got a couple of things, gonna try and keep them short. I spent all last week in Eastern Oregon, talking with other rural mayors and some not so rural mayors. The best part of the whole week was sitting down, talking with them, and everybody realizing that it's not east-west, it's rural-urban, and that divide is real. And that, I mean, my push in this was, if we work together and we testify together, the state has to start paying attention. But if we continue down the road that we've been down, which is we ignore them and then wonder why they ignore us, we're not gonna get anywhere. And as we saw tonight, this whole housing thing, that was driven by Portland and the metro area. They didn't even think about anybody out here. Okay, and so I had to be in Eastern Oregon last week for a League of Oregon Cities conference. It was in Joseph. And I said to myself, well, gosh, if I got to spend a day getting there, a day doing the meeting, and then a day to drive home, I might as well take the whole week and go see people and get their stories. For those of you that haven't been off the beaten path in Eastern Oregon in a while, you got to go. Heppner blew my mind. Okay, I don't know if anybody here even knows where Heppner is. Thank you. Okay, well, you're the only person in this room that raised their hand.
I've been there. I can't tell you exactly where.
Yeah, I know where.
Give it to Laurel County.
That's not Heppner.
No, but
Okay, so
we've been to Hefner, we go hunting there every year.
Heppner's smaller than us. Okay, they have redone their main street. It is amazing. I am not joking. They put in a lot of work. I mean, yes, they have flat land to work with. I told them, I said, yeah, I love it, but you're flat. So, not a whole lot we can copy on this. But they have, believe it or not, in Little Heppner, they have a food court outside. They planned it. They put it in as part of their streetscape. So they have 2 food trucks in there. And they have benches with covered benches, so you can get out of the sun or the rain or the snow, depending upon what you're dealing with in Heppner. They have a lot of good things going on with their county. So if you go out that way, you see all of the windmills and solar panels. Well, Gilliam County, which is where Heppner's in, that county is sharing all the money from the leaseholds with the 3 cities that's in Gilliam County. And so
A lot of money.
it's a lot of money, and it's allowing them to do things that have been on the back burner forever. And they're really taking advantage of it. If you ever get a chance to go down through Heppner in the next couple of years, do so.
The only thing that's negative is they have leases and water.
I don't talk about that.
My family's that.
I'm gonna miss Summer Festival. I have to be down in Klamath Falls that week and that weekend for the Oregon Mayor's Association Conference. So I need you all to be the wild and crazy people you are. And if you're running for office, and I really hope you do, Tracy, I really do. And if there's anything I can do for that to happen, I will do it. You're a valuable member of this city council. And I have said that from day one when we would have arguments. I still say it today. We still have arguments, that's right. Arguments are not bad
Is more important,
things.
right?
It's trying to get on top of it.
I know. I'm running. This will be the last time I run. My wife officially retired at the end of October 2026. And when she talks, I listen, and she has gotten the bug, and so this is it. And I've got plans for the next couple of years as far as where we go with the city, but I have to tell you, this has been a good group to work with, and I kind of hope we all stick together. We may disagree, we may say stupid things, we may say stupid things to each other. But after, this is the other part of that trip, after listening to some of the stuff some of these other mayors are dealing with, I'm living in hog heaven right here.
You have
Even
it
with-
so good.
And even with the arguments we have, you guys don't threaten to shoot each other.
Oh,
Yeah, that was one last
oh,
week.
wow. Sounds like.
Don't threaten to drown. Council, that came up in one meeting I heard. So, you know, I'm doing really well right now, so I.
The bar is really low, it sounds.
Well.
But then you're a big boy, yes.
You guys are great. And I say it till I die, we got the best staff.
Oh, yeah.
And we're doing great, and let's keep this up, okay? Yes, Mr. Scully, that includes you back there.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, with that, what do you got?
Tomorrow is the final day for the city council charter review board, and then we'll be bringing it back to city council on the 17th, and we redid the entire charter. So I'm front of back.
I don't believe we left anything unturned.
We went through every single thing, every single word with 2 lawyers at hand, so.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good for the citizens.
So that'll come back to us and
Then we have to do the.
Yes, we didn't change you and your pigs, don't worry. Somebody asked me about that this weekend too, I about died. All right, with that, we are adjourned.